Okay, there's that. Wait, so what do I have to do? Transition? Hi, everybody. I think. I think I did it right. It's just me for the moment. Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? I've never done the open the stream thing before. So you have to tell me if I did it right or if I messed it up. Hello. Yes, you are one of the babbling babblers. Why not? Why not, right, Bailey? We're all babbling babblers here, right? How's everyone's Saturday? Are we all doing lovely? Bailey, are you doing lovely? Bailey's doing lovely. He's begging for attention. Maybe we're just a bunch of babbling, bumbling baboons. That could be it. We could be a bunch of babbling, bumbling baboons. Bungling baboons. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, I was going to do something and now I don't remember what it was. Shoot. Oh! Thanks, Mike. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. I'm glad you've been here more frequently. It's nice to see you. You always have. Hey, hey, Bailey. That's rude, sir. Um, you always you always have very interesting things to say. So we're always glad when you can join us.
Oh, hello. Oh, thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm here.
I know.
Ooh.
I said I don't know if I did it right. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully it works. I'm never the first one on the stream. I'm always late. But this time I was not late. So
Us babbling babblers here. Babbling babbler bibliobibuli babbling.
I said
Starting Saturday with a tongue twister.
I said babbling bunch of bungling baboons. Babbling, bungling, babbling, bungling, bumbling, bibliobibuli baboons. There.
Okay, there
There
we
we
go.
go. There we go. I was working on it.
Sounds like you should be in a Dr. Seuss book.
Right, why not? Bobans, did you leave? Oh, the Bobans. There's the Bobans. You can see the Bobans. No, don't leave, Boban. Okay. She didn't want to stay.
So last time,
Last time,
the young dudes.
some small suggestion. Set the on-screen comment fade to a bit slower.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see.
We can do that, or Biggs can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can read the comments. Hi, Angela. Welcome. Hello, Ren. Let's do like an even. Let's try for a minute and see how that.
All right, now it should stay on longer. Whoa.
So, Mike, yes, I went to art school, and actually in 2020, I got my degree. I am officially a zoologist. So, yes, I did finish my degree. Thank you for asking.
And hello, Katie.
Hi, Katie. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Actually starting your zoology job pretty soon.
Yes, actually, I did get offered a position. It's part-time, but I did get offered a position to work with animals. So I got the degree 2 years ago, and now I finally get to start actually working in my field. So it's very exciting. Thank you. Thank you.
Super exciting.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. I'll let you know how it all goes once I actually start.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be great.
I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation in the streams for a hot minute.
Oh, I'm sure. The biggest issue you're going to have is not, like, petting the tigers, But it's so cute. It just needs
Well, they are
pets.
still bibes. Hello, found you both the other day. Been listening to all the Harry Potters. On book 4 now. Love it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to do it.
No problem. I'm so glad you enjoy it. It is our pleasure to take the
Yes.
time out of our day and do it.
Thank you for finding us. It's a zoo. I would say it's a zoo. That's the best. It's an animal park, but I would say I think that it qualifies as a zoo.
Yeah.
Um,
I
do you,
mean, and you might have heard it. It's Animal Adventure.
yeah, do you guys know who April the giraffe is? If you know who April
It's
the giraffe
yeah.
is,
It's where
or
she lived.
Cosmo the kangaroo, um, Cosmo the leucistic kangaroo. If you guys know who they are. Signed up for your monthly. Oh, thank you very much, Angela. She signed up for our Patreon.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Thank you so much.
Mike knows.
It
He's
means
like, "Oh my god, he knows." Yeah, so Animal Adventure, that's where I will be working because it is 30 minutes away from where we live. So, that's where I will be working in a few weeks.
I know. Gonna
It's
get
very
to see
exciting.
April's baby.
Who is not a baby anymore.
No.
Well, no, I think April's baby moved.
Oh, did
I think
did
he
they?
moved. Oh, thank you. I can't believe I'm going to work there either. It's very exciting. It's super exciting. I cannot wait.
I know. Puppy fur and white text. I'm gonna try to keep Bailey so it's the red text. That way we can read it. It
Bailey.
was supposed to be on me because I usually wear darker shirts, so I was like, oh, we have light coming from back there and stuff, and be easier to see it on my shirt. But yeah, Bailey's been very clingy lately, so he's kind of popping up.
Maybe if I scooch a little bit and then you can scooch a little bit this way.
Or
No,
this way?
yeah. Oh, okay. No, the other way.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I,
That's why I made
maybe
it
it's
just
easier
yeah.
to see it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because when male giraffes grow up, they compete for mates.
Oh, okay, so they
So
can't keep an extra male.
yeah, and she had a male.
Okay,
She had a boy. So otherwise, there would have been aggression between his dad and him.
that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Can't have family rivalries going on.
be a Lannister situation if there ever was one.
Oof.
Hello, Lola. Hello, Lola.
A little Tyrion running around.
More like a little Joffrey or something running around.
Tyrion and his father, though, they had those tensions. I feel like it was, Joffrey.
Yeah, but it's all about sexy time
Yeah, but
and mating.
again, it works because Tywin goes after his love.
You know us male mammals, we love to fight. That's true.
It's true.
Y'all are aggressive. Also,
Can't help it.
that was almost spoilerish what you just said for anyone who hasn't read A Song of Ice and Fire.
It was. That's why I didn't just straight up say it, just in case I don't want to spoil anything for anyone.
Lola, what you doing?
At this point, if you've been on the internet for a while, you probably know it.
Hello, Marcelo. How are
Hey,
you?
Marcelo.
Oh,
We are fantastic. How are you doing?
here comes Lola. What are you doing? What are you doing?
They're all here. I'm just gonna. All right, there we go. Just the animal paddock today.
I know, right? I'm the zoologist, but you have all the animals.
It's crazy how that works.
I don't.
Like, you work to be a zoologist. I was born into it, molded by it. I didn't see a lack of fur until I was already a man. I'm just kidding. Oh my god, don't hurt me. I have the babies. You can't hurt me. I have the babies.
I can hurt you even if you do have the babies.
Happy birthday, Marcelo. Happy belated birthday. Hope it was a good one.
Can Fleur wish me happy birthday? What, Marcelo, you want me to wish you a happy birthday? Well, then very well. Happy birthday, Marcelo Pinto.
Very nice.
Thank you. I'm thinking about saying get out.
I could see it. I saw it. The fire in the eyes.
Ah, you're welcome. I'm glad you liked it. I could have tried to do a whole Fleur Marilyn Monroe happy birthday song, but I don't know if the internet is prepared for that.
Only one way to find out.
We don't have to go that far. We don't have to go that deep.
We're not going that deep. So last time, all the young dudes.
Sirius and Lupin did it in the common room.
Yeah, because no one was around.
Because it's Christmas time, and everyone else is at home.
And it was a very Merry Christmas.
With mince pies. And
Yes.
carpet burn.
Yes. But they're not anything. Still hush hush. Nothing's going on.
Still a secret. She is not like Marilyn. This is true. No, she's not.
No.
She is fleur de l'école.
She's who Marilyn wishes she was.
She is too good for all this heavy Hogwarts food. I will get fat. A jolly Christmas, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
A very...
Thinking of a Lonely Island now. A certain song.
Lonely Island.
Yeah. Featuring Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
In a box.
Yeah. I got it now. Wow, that took too long.
Yeah, it did.
It took way too long. I was like, what are you talking about?
Just leaving it out there.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, Lonely Island. My dick
Okay.
in a box.
Yeah, okay. Now you ruined it because you said it. I got it before you said it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I got it. I'm picturing the skit in my head now.
Yeah.
I got it.
There you go. That's them. Oh.
That was pretty much last time.
Oh, that too. Yes. I just had sex and it felt so good. I love Lonely Islands. They're so great.
I think that also really applies here, though. Like,
Yeah.
I think Lupin is having a good time.
I think they're both having a good time. But not really, because Lupin wants it to be something.
He's trying to be grateful for what it is, but
He wants more.
he wants commitment.
Yes.
Reminds me of that Leanne Rimes song, Commitment.
So is he going to be the Grant in this situation? Sirius is going to be the Lupin, and Sirius is going to fall in love with someone else. Love with James. And that's why they can't be together. Because deep down, he loves James.
Maybe.
It's the only man for him.
Maybe.
And yet, James is like, Lily.
100,000 times Lily. Forever and ever. Always and ever.
So should we get started? Maybe read another chapter?
We can read another chapter. Lupin always coming through with that long-term shit.
I know. How dare he want commitment.
Yeah, he wants commitment.
Wool on my lap. I didn't think she'd stay. She's just like curled up.
Someone who'll go the distance. I need love in my life from somebody who's... Oh, Jesus.
You okay? Okay. I had to say something about them being so good. So,
Sorry.
yeah.
That was wow. Okay.
So Joey, we're actually reading a fanfic about Harry Potter right now. So this follows the story of Lupin through his years at Hogwarts, along with the Marauders. And it's not canon. I actually looked up. There's a story about Lupin on Pottermore. None of this really follows Lupin's story for real.
I'm sure it
But
does.
it's a very well written fanfic.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, we already said it, so I guess a bit of spoilers here is Lupin is gay and he has eyes for Sirius in this fanfic. And Sirius
has finally come to terms with the fact that he also has eyes for Lupin. Although, I'm going to venture out and say I think Lupin's bi. Was Lola on your lap at the same time, or did she jump up as soon as Bailey left?
No, she's been sitting on my lap. Because I just said they're both sitting on my lap so well. I didn't expect them to. And then Lola just, like, had enough. She wanted to sprawl out, spread her legs.
Yeah, so Lola was there pretty much the whole time.
Come here, Bailey. Let me see you. Did she get you?
He keeps licking his face. That's why I thought maybe she did. Hello, Patrick. I was cleaning my house and can stop to listen to the show. Is Katie really JK herself? She has such a good take on all the characters. Oh, what a compliment, Katie. Are you really JK Rowling?
JK undercover?
Hey, I've never met Katie in person.
I've never seen Katie and JK Rowling in the same room, so...
Hey, you know what? We'll never know. No, Lola was having none of it. Lola.
That's what the K in JK Rowling stands for.
Katie.
It's just Katie Rowling.
Just Katie Rowling. Aw. Yes, she is. Katie is incredible. The secret's out. There it is. Confirmation. Katie and J.K. Rowling are the same person. Shall we? This is quite a long chapter, so I feel like we probably ought to hop right in if we want to make some progress in the story today.
All right.
After this chapter, we only have 85 left. This is chapter 103.
God, we've come a long way.
To know that we're like getting towards the home stretch. Chapter 40,000. Let's go. Chapter 103. 6th year. 12 nights. Content warning for drug use, weed, drinking, smoking, and sex. None graphic.
The rock and roll chapter. Got everything.
This is the Meatloaf chapter. Paradise by the Dashboard Light chapter.
Now all they have to do is destroy a hotel room, and they're basically Motley Crue.
I sing with impertinence, shading impermanent chords with my words. I borrowed your time, and I'm sorry I called, but the thought just occurred that we're nobody's children at all, after all.
That was pretty good.
There we go.
Ooh, we've had your 2-year-old nephew overnight. Say no more, Angela. I understand. 100%.
Yes, we get that.
That can be used as an excuse for just about anything.
There is a child here.
I have a 2-year-old. All right, you're good.
You're good. Yep. Anything under the age of like 10. Okay. All right. It's fine.
Are we going 20 miles over the speed limit? 2-year-old has to pee. Carry on.
Thursday, 20th of December, 1976. Sirius sang in the shower. Remus wasn't sure if this was a new thing or whether he'd been doing it for ages and Remus simply hadn't noticed. He'd typically been avoiding Sirius's shower times. Anyway, as Remus dressed, he listened and smiled. He didn't have a bad voice, really. Nothing special, but in tune. He was obsessed with the Doors at the moment, and had perfected an imitation of Jim Morrison's deep American holler. "Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, babe," he bellowed over the hissing of the pipes. It must have been endearing, it might have been endearing, if even alluring, if he didn't spoil it by singing along with the trumpets, too. Ba-da-ba-ba! He exited the bathroom in a fog of steam, his skin flushed, his shirt damp from his hair. "What?" He cocked an eyebrow at Remus. "No applause?" Remus rolled his eyes, opening the dorm room door. "Hurry up, I'm starving." It felt weird to leave the isolation of Gryffindor Tower, where they'd already made themselves at home, and to enter the rest of the castle, where everything was the same. They were early to breakfast, and the two Ravenclaws, a girl and a boy, sat closer to them this time. "Isn't it ridiculous that they serve this much food when there are only 5 students?" the girl, who had large cat-eye glasses and a mass of freckles, remarked. "It seems so wasteful." The plates in front of them had filled with fried eggs, bacon, sausages, black pudding, baked beans, fried tomatoes and toast, not to mention cereal, porridge, and fruit juices. "No," Sirius replied, watching Remus pile up his plate. "You've clearly never seen Moony eat." "Shut up," Remus replied, his mouth already full. Still, the Ravenclaws watched, fascinated, until Remus was too embarrassed to eat any more. Fortunately, at that moment, a distraction arrived in the form of the morning owl posts. In the form of the morning owls. Jesus! In the form of the morning post owls. One landed right in front of Remus. 3 in front of Sirius. "You're popular?" The Ravenclaw boy leaned over. He was skinny and smallish, with a beaky nose. "Don't encourage him," Remus said. His own package was soft and wrapped in lavender-coloured paper. It was from Lily, he had no doubt. Sirius had 5 or 6 brightly coloured envelopes. None red, Remus noted with relief. No howlers from Walpurga this year. "We're going ice skating before lunch," the Ravenclaw girl smiled brightly. "The lake's frozen over. Want to come?" "Sounds good," Sirius nodded, tossing his unopened post aside. Remus collected it up before they left the breakfast table and took it up to the room with them. "Are all these Christmas cards?" he asked, flicking through. "Oh, yeah, I think so," Sirius shrugged, opening his wardrobe and rummaging through the bottom, pulling out drawers and old shoes he didn't wear anymore. "Who are they from?" "Whoever." Remus frowned, then caught sight of something on Sirius's bedside table, another pile of unopened cards. He started opening them. Sirius clearly wasn't interested. "Dear Sirius, have a wonderful Christmas. Lots of kisses. Imelda." To the boy who holds my heart, Merry Christmas and all my love. S. Darling Sirius, please meet me in Hogsmeade under the mistletoe for a kiss, and maybe more. Emmeline. My raven-haired prince, I cannot rest until I am in your arms. Sirius? What? Came his muffled response. He was half buried in the back of his wardrobe now on his hands and knees. These are all from girls. Ah! He finally reappeared, leaning back on his ankles, holding a pair of ice skates aloft. I knew I brought a pair during first year. Are you telling me your feet haven't grown since you were 11? They have a growing charm on them, Sirius explained, dusting them off. They get bigger to fit me, only the best for the blacks. Clever. The cards, though. Oh, those, what'd you open them for? You want to be careful. One of them squirted perfume at me. Perfume! He pulled a face. Are all these girls you've... Really, Moony, I'm flattered. As legendary as I am, as legendary as I'm sure my stamina is, no, they're just girls. They send me nonsense all the time. All the time? Oh, come on. What are you, jealous? Sirius ruffled Remus's hair. They're just cards. I suppose. Now let's get you some skates.
I don't want any, I'll break my neck. You'll be fine, I'll show you how to do it.
Remus picked up the pile again and flicked through it.
There must be 20 here altogether. Look, Remus, why don't we find you a girlfriend? Then you won't be so interested in my love life.
What? Remus stared at Sirius. He was being quite genuine, a mild look of concern on his face. Remus's heart sank. Really?
Yeah, I reckon that freckly Ravenclaw likes you. Or Marlene. What about Marlene? She's nice, pretty, likes you.
She offered to snog me once, Remus said, but shook his head.
It was a joke, though. Marlene's not interested in me. I don't need a girlfriend. Don't knock it till you tried it, Sirius winked. Right, let's see what we can do about these skates.
Ice skating was marginally better than flying a broom, but not much. The lake was completely frozen, but Remus couldn't shake the thought it might crack at any moment and kept patting his pockets to check he could reach his wand. Sirius, obviously, was a natural. So was the Ravenclaw boy, Arnold, and the pair of them were soon racing each other up and down the length of the ice. Remus watched them nervously, trying not to wobble. Here! The freckly girl, Tina, glided over to him, smiling kindly. Put your hands on my shoulders if you want, and watch my feet. He did so, gratefully, standing behind her as she dragged him steadily round in a small circle. He thought he was getting the hang of it.
I wonder if the squid's okay,
he said after they'd been a bit quiet for a while.
Oh, I've never thought about that. Does it hibernate, do you think?
Tina peered at the ice with some interest. I don't think I've ever actually read anything about the squid.
Me neither,
Remus replied, letting go of her shoulders and attempting to do a few meters unaided.
Professor Ferox liked it, though. I saw him feeding it once.
Really? She looked up at him, earnest and curious. What did he feed it? Remus shrugged.
No idea. Something nasty looking.
I miss Ferox, she sighed. He really brought his lessons to life. I ended up dropping care of magical creatures, taking an extra course in goblin finance instead.
Oh, that sounds, interesting.
It is, she nodded without a trace of irony. I can lend you a book if you like.
Thanks.
After lunch, Remus and Sirius returned to the tower. Remus noticed that the pile of cards had disappeared, but he didn't mention it. He lit the small bedroom fire and looked for a thicker jumper to wear.
Still cold?
Sirius asked, yawning.
Freezing,
Remus replied, pulling on a second pair of socks and raising his hands to the fire.
Should have moved a bit more. Gets the blood pumping. Still.
His voice changed, turned sly and teasing.
You had a nice chat with Freckles? Tina. She's interested in goblin finance. Excellent! You can marry rich!
Remus threw a slipper at him.
Oi!
Sirius barked with laughter.
I'm just trying to help you out a bit, Moony. You ought to have other interests outside that bloody study group. I think, if anything, I would be doing more studying if I started to go out with Tina, which I'm not going to do.
Remus blew into his cupped hands, then held them to the fire again. The cold just seemed to seep in and settle there. He turned to look at Sirius, who was leaning against his headboard, staring. His lips curled into a wicked smile.
Bed's warm.
Do you think Sirius is just in that much denial? Like he doesn't know what he's doing, or is he just playing dumb?
I think Sirius is... I think he's in denial, but I think he also understands that in this day and age, it's wrong.
Maybe. I mean... I don't know. I would have said that, okay, maybe he's just bi, but then he has that, like, comment to Remus, where he's just like, you should try it.
Well, maybe Sirius is
like,
bi.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Like, maybe that's just him, but he's like, to Remus, you should try it. It's like, no, obviously Remus isn't into that. Like, what? Oh, and hello, Jagrat? Yugrat? Correct me on the pronunciation of that, but hello.
Friday, 21st of December, 1976.
Bloody Regulus. It was 2 days ago, get over it. He's such a prick. I know, left a bit. I can't go any further left, there's no room. Careful, not there. Oops! Anyway, you should have let me hit him. You weren't going to hit him, you were going to break a knuckle. You can't punch. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Look, can you please concentrate? You keep missing. I've punched loads of people. Oops, sorry. You've fought with James, not the same thing. Oh, and you know how to punch, do you, Mooney? Yeah, I do, actually. Aha! I win! It's not fair. Can't we get closer? No, that's cheating. Oh, fine. I forgot you were a stickler for the rules. Prefect Lupin.
Remus folded his arms and let Sirius rant. He had won fair and square. They'd been playing this new game for about 2 hours now, and Remus was by far the best at it. He'd never beaten Sirius at anything on the first go. It was an excellent feeling, and he was going to lord it over him. The game involved levitating various items they'd found in the common room. Gobstones, chocolate frogs, quills, slippers, and firing them at speed through the goals constructed by cutting various sized holes in Peter and James's bed sheets, which they'd hung up across the common room, dividing it. Remus had had reservations about cutting up his friends' sheets out of boredom, but Sirius had reasoned that they wouldn't very well cut holes out of their own bed sheets, which were in use. The best part was that they never had to tidy up. Once they'd got everything through the goals, all they needed to do was walk through the sheets and start again on the other side. This they began to do now, crossing to the half of the room with the fireplace in it. It was cosy. I wonder if this is what camping is like, Remus said thoughtfully. Never been, Sirius replied. James thought it was funny our family never did it. I always wanted to, Remus mused, beginning to levitate a crystal ball someone had carelessly let roll under the couch. But I like the idea of anywhere that wasn't St. Edmund's. He frowned slightly, surprising himself. Why had he brought up St. Edmund's? He'd never talked about it in front of anyone at Hogwarts. Sirius didn't seem fazed. Yeah, I can't blame you, he said then, glancing at the floating crystal ball. You're going to smash that? No, I'm not. I'm aiming at that big settee. Remus demonstrated, reeling back his wand and then flicking it, sending the crystal ball whizzing through the very smallest hole, landing with a quiet thump on the other side. Remus smirked at Sirius, who shook his head in disbelief. It's scary how good at this you are. Get you on a broom and you'd make a bloody good chaser. No thanks. You'll go. Sirius selected a gobstone. They were easier to levitate, but much harder to aim. He was terrible at understanding his own limits. Did you play that muggle game at St. Edmund's? Sirius asked, casually, firing the gobstone too hard and missing the sheet altogether, sending it over the top. Foul, Remus said. What muggle game? With all the running about and kicking. We saw them playing it when we were, over for the summer. Oh, football. No, I never liked it. Had too many bruises already. Yeah, sorry. I didn't think. Of course. Sirius went a bit quiet after that. Remus knew him well enough to recognize that he was building up to something, a question or a declaration. In the meantime, Remus started shooting quills like darts through each hole in the sheets. Finally, Sirius had gathered up whatever courage he needed or prepared whichever words. Is it really awful, living there? Remus lowered his wand. He'd never complained about St. Edmund's, not in front of the Marauders or anyone except for Grant, because Grant knew. He was about to say, "Nah, it's fine, really," and shrug it off, but something stopped him. That was a lie, and there was no need to lie just now. It's not awful, but it is noisy. You always have to watch your back, and no one really cares about you much. They have to make sure you don't die or get arrested or starve or whatever, but they don't actually care. He wasn't in the mood to play any more. He reached into his back pocket and pulled out his cigarettes, lighting one with his wand tip, then tossing the box back to Remus. Back to Sirius. Sirius just held it, running his thumb over a loose bit of foil poking out from the join in the hinge.
"I know how that feels," he murmured.
That was all he said, and it was enough at the same time. He quickly looked up and grinned.
"Look what I can do."
He slid a cigarette out of the packer and placed it between his lips. A look of concentration flashed in his eyes for a moment, then he snapped his fingers and the cigarette lit itself. His grin widened round the fag, and he looked at Remus for praise.
"Blimey," Remus smiled. "Clever you."
Saturday, 22nd of December, 1976.
"What are you doing?" "What's it look like I'm doing?"
Remus replied sternly over the top of his textbook. He spent a peaceful few hours all by himself in bed until Sirius had marched in smelling of snow and hot chocolate. He'd gone ice skating again, and Remus had begged off this time, looking for some quiet.
"You're not studying at Christmas!"
Sirius flopped down beside him on the bed, looking scandalized.
"It's not Christmas. It's not even Christmas Eve. It's just a normal day. And I like reading, thank you very much."
Remus shifted away from him, rolling back and raising the book over his head to read.
How times have changed, eh, Mooney?"
Sirius chortled, pulling off his socks and thick woolen jumper. It was the one the Potters had bought him. This year Sirius's clothes had been much more practical and comfortable than before. Hardly anything specifically tailored or fine cut now. He was still very obviously an aristocrat, born and bred. That was clear in his bearing, in every enunciated phrase he spoke, but he was happier, and that showed just as much.
"I remember a boy who hated reading and homework and I remember someone who loved it and came top in every subject."
Remus turned to him finally.
"What happened? You don't like the competition?" "I could run rings around you lot if I wanted to."
This wasn't a boast. Sirius had always been exceptional when it came to intuitive magic, and intensely diligent at research, when it suited him.
"So why don't you?" "Rather do other stuff,"
he shrugged. The conversation had hit a dead end. They hardly ever happened with Sirius unless you brought up his family, and this certainly had something to do with the Blacks, or at least Sirius thought it did. They wanted him to be in Slytherin, so he ended up in Gryffindor. They wanted him to be a good pure-blood heir, so he befriended the Potters and ran away. They wanted him to get the best marks in his exams to prove that purebloods were better than everyone else, so he used his talents exclusively in ways that would annoy them. Remus returned to his book. 2 lines down, Sirius gave a long sigh.
"I'm bored."
"Go and play chess with the dynamic duo," Remus replied, rereading the second line.
Not that bored. Spent all morning with them. They're okay, but Merlin, everything's so literal."
Remus put down his book.
"Oh? I don't want to disturb you,"
Sirius said innocently, edging closer.
"It can wait."
Can it though?
Sunday, 23rd of December, 1976.
"Show me how to throw a punch, then."
"Seriously?" Remus sighed.
"Deadly serious."
The other boy waggled his eyebrows. Remus groaned.
"Oh, go on."
Sirius laughed at his face.
"Show me. Teach me something, Professor Lupin."
I love how they just keep dropping it in there, Professor Lupin.
I know. They were lounging in their pajamas in the common room. Gryffindor Tower was still being cleaned nightly by the house elves, but the funny little creatures had had the sense to leave up the goal sheets even if they'd tidied away all the projectiles. The effect was that of a weird screen blocking out the windows on the other side, except for the 5 pools of winter sunlight which streamed in through the cut-out holes.
"Okay, but you need something to hit that you won't hurt yourself on."
They ended up finding an empty bit of wall and performing a softening charm on it. Sirius stood there eagerly, awaiting instruction.
"Make a fist," Remus said. "No, okay, not like that. Yeah, put your thumb there, unless you want it broken. Okay, Now you want it at shoulder level. Yeah. Then, Remus eventually resorted to demonstrating a few times on the wall before physically repositioning Sirius's arms in order to get the angle right. Legs apart. Don't lean forward so much. Okay, try it now. It took about 20 minutes, but in the end, Remus deemed Sirius at least competent enough to give a black eye. Where'd you learn this? Sirius panted, elated with his success. St. Edmund's. Oh, yeah. He ducked his head. No, not like that. Remus shook his head quickly, realizing that Sirius was probably imagining him squaring off against a group of huge, tough muggles. Some of the older boys taught me a few summers ago. They were all a bit rough, liked to fight, but they were nice to me. Ah! Sirius's eyes gleamed with the light of understanding. Was this the year you began your foray into organized crime? My what? Oh, yeah, the fags. Yep, that summer. I'll never forget you stomping onto the train in those boots. Ugh, don't. Remus covered his eyes with his hands. He cringed every time he remembered the way he acted. I was so obnoxious. I didn't think so. Anyway, you had a good reason. Sirius rubbed his knuckles. They looked red from hitting the wall so many times, and Remus fought the urge to take Sirius's hand in his own and kiss every finger. Did you, ever learn anything else about Greyback? Sirius asked tentatively, snapping Remus out of his daze. Yeah, bits and pieces. He didn't want to clam up, but he did anyway, sitting down again and picking up a newspaper just to have something to hold. Moony, I know you hate talking about him. No, it's fine. He wasn't fooling anyone. You don't think? The attacks over the last few months... Remus looked up at him just to check his expression. He looked anxious but not frightened, at least not of Remus. Yeah, he confirmed with a curt nod. It was him. Moody told me. Shit. Yeah, shit. You don't think he'd come after you? Don't see why he would. The bare-faced lie should have shocked him, or at least caused a pang of guilt. But this was justified, Remus told himself. This was to protect his friends. He touched the scar on his side over the top of his pyjamas. The fabric was thin and it pressed lightly. And if he pressed lightly, he could feel the dimples and puckers in his flesh made by those dreadful teeth. It's not like he can do anything else to me now. The worst has already happened. Moony. It wasn't a question or a request, and they both let it hang in the air. Oh, what?
Oh, no, I was just reading the comments. Fried catfish is amazing.
Talking about catfish in the chat?
Mike made fried catfish for lunch.
Oh. I've never had catfish.
Really?
I've told you this before. I've never had catfish.
Oh my god. I was never the type that liked fish. But I remember fried catfish I would eat. So good. So good.
I've just never had it.
2-year-old and the dog doing zoomies.
Oh no.
Been there with Bailey and Ramona.
Yeah. I think walleye is very much like an American fish.
Yeah.
I think walleye is like an American freshwater fish, which is why maybe Katie has never heard of it.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's called something else outside of the US.
It has another name. I can't think of it right now, though. Walleyes.
Yeah, it probably does have a different name. Like another name. I don't know.
I think walleye is the most common, though.
We're still not done with this chapter.
It's a hefty one. We're just going through the whole Christmas break.
I think so. Okay. Monday, 24th of December, 1976. Do we have any weed? Sirius asked as they walked back from breakfast on Christmas Eve. They dodged yet another chess tournament with the Ravenclaws. Remus didn't actually mind the idea, but Sirius had decided they were intensely boring and not to be tolerated. When you say we, Remus replied dryly,
Do you mean me? Fine. Do you have any weed? No. But you know where some is? Maybe. That's my little delinquent. Come on then, show me. Remus sighed. We'd have to go outside to the greenhouses, and probably smoke it there too. I don't want the house elves getting a whiff. It's too cold, I'd rather not. Come on, Moony. You haven't been outside in ages. I know, that was deliberate. Come on! Sirius was dragging him by the sleeve now, and because there wasn't much else to do, and he did quite fancy a spliff, Remus allowed it. They summoned their cloaks and left the castle, hurrying through the thinning sheet of snow down to the greenhouses. Behind them, buried in a tin box, Remus unearthed the illicit buds, wrapped up in twists of brown paper. He would have to pay back whoever it belonged to. If they found out, of course. The greenhouses themselves had no snow on the roofs, being warm enough inside. We could go in there, Sirius suggested, shivering. Are you mental? Sprout comes down here twice a week to check on the mandrakes. It has to be somewhere else. The shack? Fuck that, Remus growled without thinking. Sirius looked at him surprised, and he shook his head apologetically. I hate it there. Please, someplace else. Okay. I know! He grabbed Remus by the wrist this time, his ungloved hand still miraculously warm. Remus worked out where they were going before they got there, and it was actually sort of brilliant. They were just approaching the statue of the humpbacked one-eyed witch, when the 7th-year Slytherin student turned a corner at the other end of the hallway. They stopped still, probably looking extremely guilty. What are you doing? He asked, tilting his head, weighing them up. Just going for a stroll, Sirius replied haughtily. It's a free castle. Whatever. The Slytherin rolled his eyes, bored. He kept walking past them, robes sweeping. Remus pulled out the map as soon as he was out of sight and watched the little dot with his name keep on towards the library. Perseus Flint. Ugh. Sirius pulled a face when he saw it. I think he's a relative. They entered the secret passage, cast an illuminating spell, and rolled up their cloaks so they could sit comfortably on the stone floor. Should have brought the record player, Sirius said. We could get quite comfy here. Don't know why I never thought of it before. You and your cave-dwelling fantasies, Remus humoured him, laying out all his paraphernalia. He liked rolling. It was a pleasant process. We're not spending Christmas in here. They did spend the next few hours there, though, minds drifting, murmuring stupid jokes to each other, or humming half-remembered songs. By lunchtime they were ravenous, and giggled all the way to the Great Hall. Sirius was red-eyed, pale, with an inane grin, and Remus knew he wasn't much better off. He was just thankful Dumbledore wasn't there. He'd see through them in an instant. They were wrangling into a game of chess after lunch, once the table had been cleared, and Sirius actually became very competitive in his attempt to beat Tina, who must have been the reigning Ravenclaw champion. Remus was finding it difficult to concentrate himself, and eventually lay his head down on the table and fell into a deep sleep. He was nudged awake about an hour ago. You're snoring, Moony, Sirius chuckled. Are you all right? Tina asked, her inquisitive face peering across the chessboard. She had won, it seemed. Oh, yeah. He tried to sit upright, feeling a twinge in his back as he did so. Sorry, must not have slept well last night. You do look quite pale, she continued. Her eyes raked over him analytically. Perhaps you ought to go to bed for a bit. Sirius said you were busy all morning on herbology, so I'm not surprised if you're tired. Sirius began to giggle compulsively, and Remus elbowed him hard in the ribs. Yeah, I will go for a lie down. Cheers. He went back to the tower slowly, at first in case Sirius decided to follow him, then because his hip hurt from sleeping in a stupid position. His head was clearer, and he decided to take a hot bath to see if that would help at all. He took his arithmancy textbook into the bathroom with him, hoping it would stop him from falling asleep again. He'd only been in the water 10 minutes when Sirius's voice broke over the dorm room. Moony? I'm in the bath, he called back. The door opened. Remus tutted. Didn't say you could come in. Nothing I haven't seen, Sirius replied archly. Remus blinked. Was Sirius actually commenting on the recent turn their relationship had taken, or was this just another offhand remark? Perhaps he talked to James in the bath. Remus wouldn't be surprised. Sirius leaned casually against the sink. James gave me the password to the prefect's bath, if you'd rather go in there. I'm fine here, thanks. Okay, I've had an idea. Does it involve smoking weed in a tunnel? Yes. Brilliant. Not just that, though. I fancy an outing. Do you? Remus smirked, closing his eyes and leaning back. Here we go. How does the Hogshead sound? Remus opened his eyes. It sounds completely mad. Excellent, Sirius grinned. We'll go after dinner then. Remus made half-hearted attempts to change Sirius's mind, but when a plan had been concocted, it was pretty much generally set in stone, particularly if it involved breaking school rules.
Being crazy again.
I see. Feisty Doda. Feisty Doda.
Oh, welcome, Oscris. We are so glad we could have saved your A in reading class. That's a few people now.
Yes.
We've helped them out in their class.
We are Professor Lupin.
Yes. Professor BIBLIOBIBULI.
Professor BIBLIOBIBULI.
I'm not allowed into Hogsmeade. Moony, it's Christmas Eve.
So they went. After sharing a long joint in the tunnel, at the Honeyduke's end, obviously, Remus didn't fancy being stoned for the long walk through the passage, they crept up into the sweet shop, pocketed a few chocolate frogs on the way, and out into the dark, empty High Street. The Three Broomsticks was the only place that looked at all welcoming, but Sirius reckoned Rosmerta might shop them to McGonagall if she saw them in there.
Which would be total bollocks, he huffed. I'm 17, I should be allowed to do what I like.
The Hogshead was not nearly as inviting as the Three Broomsticks, but it still had a kind of atmosphere. The clientele were private, huddled in groups talking amongst themselves, and the barman surly, but he served Sirius and Remus without question, and they were able to find a table and stools without too much of a problem. There was an odd smell hanging about the place, something Remus liked quite a lot, but couldn't quite place. It stirred a strange sort of wanting inside, which he tried to drown in whiskey. They drank a lot, and quickly, caught up in each other's overexcitement.
I haven't had a drink since Halloween, Remus said daringly. I was so sick that night, Sirius laughed. I don't even remember half of it. I do, Remus bristled.
Sirius caught his look and the smile fell from his face. His brows knit and he looked down at his half-empty goblet.
Of course I remember that part, Remus.
He felt a bit guilty after that. A small part of him still wanted to punish Sirius for the hurt he'd caused, even if, on the whole, he wanted to forget it all and just be happy. Alcohol is fortunately the ideal situation for this particular problem. At least Remus thought so. He smiled broadly.
First time I got pissed, he drained his glass, was the summer I got the boots and all that gear. I got so off my head I thought I was going to die. I got tipsy at a family banquet when I was 13, Sirius mused, ordering 2 more cups with a snap of his fingers. But not as drunk as I got for your birthday that year. Still, it was all the same to Mother, and out came the wand. He made a wide slashing movement with his own wand hand and imitated his mother's sharp, precise voice. A blank air shows proper comportment at all times. Slash, slash. Remus winced, thinking of Sirius's calves. Sirius glanced at him sideways mid-slash. Sorry,
he said, folding his arms as their whiskies arrived.
It's not funny. I don't know why I act like that.
You're out now, Remus said seriously.
You don't ever have to go back. Yeah,
Sirius slurred, slouching in his seat.
It's all Reg's mess now. Nasty little so-and-so. You know how many times I took the blame for him? How many times I stood between? He used to be a proper little crybaby, but Mother hates crying. She says it makes men sissies. Makes them... well, whatever, some bollocks. But anyway, Reg would cry, and I would do something worse to distract her. And she'd do her thing. Slash, slash. His eyes were bright and his cheeks were pink. You know, if either of us had just ever learnt not to get upset, then maybe... But I suppose Reg learnt in the end. Cold-hearted fucker. He took a big gulp. Sorry, didn't mean to moan. Specifically not to you. You know all my bloody lack of self-control. It took Remus a moment or two to realise that Sirius was talking about the Snape incident. He didn't want to talk about that. The conversation was melancholy enough as it was, and he knew what happened when you let the drink get you down. It's fine, he mumbled. Probably a good thing anyway. I hardly ever cry. I think I lost the ability at some point. Maybe I'm like Reg. You're not like Reg, Sirius said vehemently, squeezing Remus's knee. Remus smiled at him dopily, and Sirius withdrew his hand quickly, looking around furtively in case the gesture had been noticed. Can you smell that? Remus asked, feeling very drunk now. He stretched like a cat. It was so familiar, so deep, so fascinating. Like prey, or... it was just out of reach. Stale beer? B.O., Sirius suggested, making himself laugh. No, it's an animal or something. Sorry, mate, he shrugged. I could turn into a dog and have a sniff, but I think I'm too drunk to remember how to turn back. They left the pub shortly after that. The scent had infected Remus, unshakable and overwhelmingly desirable. He felt more than drunk, almost wolfish. He transferred this feeling to Sirius and pushed him up against the wall in the darkness of an alleyway, kissing him fiercely, pressing his hips against his. Eventually Sirius had to push him away, using more force than normal. Hey, he whispered. Not here. Someone'll see. They dragged each other back to Honeydukes, through the door and into the cellar, which Remus would have been more than happy with, but Sirius wouldn't touch him again until they were inside the dark, dank tunnel. They hadn't been together like this before or after drinking, and neither of them had the presence of mind to light their wands, so it was pitch black, but Remus was hot with the whiskey, and Sirius was just as eager as him now that they were alone, and it was just the same as it had been, only better, more urgent and fluid and messy, and Remus felt a surge of courage before pulling away and sinking to his knees, holding Sirius in place, and it was nerve-wracking, but God, so worth it to hear that surprised gasp. What are you... Oh!
And before you start again, just have to say thank you to Mike for another $10.
Thank you very
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we love this international community as well.
Yes, we do.
We have probably met at least one person from like every country at this point.
Not even close.
We've had a lot.
We've had a lot, but not even close.
Okay. Feels like it.
I'm just saying. Christmas Day, 1976. As was expected, both boys woke on Christmas Day with thumping hangovers. Tell me there's a cure, Mooney, Sirius wailed from his bed. You're the one taking healing lessons. You're the one taking potions, Remus grumbled from under his pillow. Pain is a potion thing. I do cuts and abrasions. Useless. Shut up. But it was no good. He was awake now, and there was nothing either of them could do about it. He clambered out from under his bed sheets, head thudding at twice the tempo as he hobbled across the room to the bathroom. Cold shower, he mumbled at Sirius's bed. Then breakfast. Fried eggs. Trust me. They couldn't face opening presents and left it, instead stumbling down to eat without combing their hair or making much effort to look smart at all. Dumbledore was there and smiled at them benevolently as they took their seats at the table. Happy Christmas, one and all, he boomed cheerily, apparently oblivious to Sirius and Remus's wincing. Breakfast did improve things somewhat, at least it settled their stomachs, and they eagerly returned to the tower afterward to open presents. Remus got the usual assortment of quills, chocolates, books, and knitwear as usual, and was very pleased to receive them. Nothing from Matron this year. He supposed she'd decided to cut ties early, seeing as after his 17th birthday he would not be expected to return to St. Edmund's. He pushed that thought down with a cigarette. James got in touch shortly after that, through the compact mirrors, and they both wished him a Merry Christmas. "Are you two okay?" He frowned up through the glass. "You look a bit peaky."
"Hungover,"
Sirius grunted. "Jealous," James replied.
"Weirdo,"
said Remus. Afterwards he took a nap, still worn out from the night before, and woke up in time for lunch, which in Remus's opinion was basically a perfect Christmas day. Boxing Day, 1976.
Why is it called Boxing Day, anyway?
Gonna answer a question I've actually had.
Sirius asking the real question.
Nobody knows.
Remus yawned over his porridge.
It's one of the great mysteries of life. Must be a Muggle thing. I'll ask my Muggle studies professor.
You do Muggle studies? The Slytherin Flint was staring down at the table at him. Sirius threw 2 fingers up at him, then turned his back, ignoring him. Remus kept eating, the brown sugar melting on his tongue. Their knees were bumping under the table, and it was delightful. Suddenly the owls arrived, screeching into the hall with an unusual urgency. There were more than usual as well. Remus just realized that Dumbledore and McGonagall were not at breakfast. Tina, sitting opposite, got her post first and opened it.
"It's for Mum."
She opened. Her eyes widened and she got up from the table at once, hurrying away out of the hall. Flint did the same. Then Arnold.
"What's going on?"
Remus asked, as Flitwick sighed heavily, shaking his head. He passed the 2 remaining boys a copy of the Daily Prophet. They leaned in together to read it. "Muggles attacked in Christmas crisis," blared the headline. "Last night, while thousands slept safely in their beds on Christmas night, over 100 Muggles all over Britain were attacked in their homes. The Aura's office confirmed this morning that the attacks were magical in nature and intended to cause harm. The attacks took place in a number of locations, apparently targeting families with ties to the wizarding world, those with magical relatives or a history of Muggle magical relations. Offences range from minor jinxes to, in some cases, the use of unforgivable curses. There are no suspects at present. The Minister for Magic is expected to make a statement later today." Professor McGonagall arrived while they were reading, with Flint, Tina, and Arnold in tow. Tina looked as though she'd been crying. Flint was scowling miserably. "You've all heard the news," the professor said, her voice thinner than usual, strained and tired. "If your parents have requested for you to return home, then we will make arrangements at once to ensure you arrive safely."
"Is there anything we can do, Professor?"
Sirius stood up, frowning. Flint rolled his eyes.
"No, Mr. Black, thank you. Simply stay calm and carry on as normal." "Please, Professor Flitwick," Tina sobbed. "I need to go home now. It's me auntie."
Arnold put his arm round her shoulder and whispered something comforting.
"Come on, Moony," Sirius murmured. "Let's see if James knows anything."
"I don't know anything," James said, almost as soon as he'd opened the mirror to respond to their calling. "Dad's gone up to the ministry with Moody. They let me read the paper, but there's nothing else. Everyone knows who did it, though. Death Eaters." Sirius nodded gravely.
"Voldemort?" Remus asked. "Does he have that many followers?" "Over 100, the paper said. All over the country. In one night."
"Maybe more than anyone thought. Must be more than anyone thought," James said.
"Well,"
Sirius sat up, his mouth a grim line.
"My family alone would count for at least 20.
"They're not your family," James said fiercely. He and Sirius stared at each other for a while, and Remus shifted away, feeling slightly intrusive.
Sirius's temper was rising. Remus didn't need enhanced senses to work that out. If Reg was one of them, oh... Black? James hissed. No one knows who any of them were. Calm down, okay? Mooney, you there? Yeah. Remus shuffled back into the mirror's view. James looked at him. Don't let him be a twat about this, all right? What do you want me to do? Remus asked, nonplussed. Sirius's family crises were usually James's job. Remus's role was different. Just distract him. Remus personally didn't think that sounded like the best idea. It wouldn't get rid of the problem, and James most definitely wouldn't approve of Remus's distraction techniques. Sirius talked to James for a bit longer, and Remus left them to it. He thought longingly about the final joint, sitting in his bedside table upstairs. Probably not appropriate. Thursday, 27th of December, 1976.
We are just going through the whole week. No wonder it's so long.
Arnold, Tina, and Flint went home on Boxing Day, so after that it was just the two of them. And the teachers, of course, but they seemed to be in a never-ending conference, McGonagall's face growing more and more weary each time Remus saw her. Sirius sulked. He didn't want to go out. He didn't want to stay in. He didn't want to smoke, or drink, or eat, or play games. He just wanted to stew. Remus would have been quite content to let him, if only it didn't affect the entire atmosphere of the castle so much. He tried James's distraction idea. Want to play that game? Nah, I'm rubbish at it. Yeah, but I'm not. You play it then. He hunched down into his chair, arms folded. Remus sighed. Want to go out on your broom? I'll go with you and everything. Don't have my broom here. We can borrow them from the shed. Hooch won't mind. Nah, don't like using other people's brooms. Snob. No response. Chess? Boring. Homework? That was just met with a dark look. Want a blowjob? Bloody hell, Mooney! What? I'm running out of options, Jesus. Just trying to cheer you up. I don't want to cheer up. Yeah, that much is better. Yeah, that much is clear. He fiddled with a loose thread in his sleeve. Do you want to go to the Potters? Sirius looked up. What? I don't mind, Remus said honestly. If you need to see them. If you need James. For a moment, Remus wasn't sure what Sirius was going to do. He seemed to consider the idea, and Remus wished he hadn't suggested it, but he shook his head. Nah, he said. What sort of mate would I be if I left you here by yourself? That got Remus's back up. He tugged at the thread of his sleeve, breaking it. Well, you're not being much of a mate right now, to be honest. I know you're in a mood, but... I'm not in a mood, Sirius spat angrily. I'm pissed off. Look, you don't know what it's like having family out there doing Merlin knows what, people I'm actually related to, Mooney. Oh, God, change the bloody record, will you? Remus groaned, getting up to prod the fire. Sorry, James, he thought. I'm not like you. Poor Sirius Black, the spoiled rich boy with the wicked family. Oi, watch it. Well, I'm sorry. We've had 6 years of this now. No, I don't what it's like because I don't have a family, let alone an evil one. You know what I've got? A pack of bloody werewolves waiting for me to come of age so I can go and finally join them with all the other monsters. Mooney, I've got some brutal mass murdering fucking child killer out there waiting for me, and not much else to be honest. I don't have the Potters, or an uncle. I don't have a flipping future, so if you don't mind, I'd rather not sit here round listening to you whinge about how hard you've got it. He only decided halfway through speaking that he was going to storm out, but he hoped it didn't look that way. He hadn't let himself get that angry in a long time, and, as ever, it had been Sirius who'd brought it out. He went to the library because there was nowhere else, and because Sirius would most definitely look there first. He could hear the portraits whispering as he passed and didn't like it. When he got to the library, he realised he hadn't had a next step planned. He had left all his homework back in the dorm, so he couldn't check his notes. He could summon them, he supposed, but somehow that defeated the point of storming off.
Remus just went to the nearest shelf and pulled out a random book, sitting in the most comfortable chair he could find with it. It was on potions. Just his luck. For the first time in a few years, Remus used Letuncula Magna to read. It was easier, and his head was much too much of a mess to concentrate very hard. Still, it calmed him down. Remus. He closed his eyes and breathed in before looking up. Sorry I shouted, Padfoot. Sorry I was whinging, Sirius suggested. But it's okay to be angry sometimes. It's normal, Remus smiled, setting the book down. He got up and walked over to the library entrance where Sirius stood, hands in his pockets like a contrite child. I was a dickhead, though. I shouldn't have said those things. Yeah, but they were true. I am a spoiled rich brat. Yeah, Remus grinned, ruffling his perfect hair. I don't mind, though. We can still do the things you wanted to now, if you still want. Which one? Chess? Oh, yeah, Sirius raised an eyebrow. Definitely chess. Friday, 28th of December, 1976. Do you want to talk about it? Sirius asked late in the afternoon. He had finally allowed Sirius to get on with his homework and was playing a game of solitaire with a deck of cards he'd found. Remus had never seen Sirius occupied in such a quiet activity before and kept sneaking glances. He looked up from his herbology, pretending he'd been completely absorbed in petal identification. Do you want to talk about it? Sirius repeated, still looking at his cards. The greyback stuff. Oh, that. Remus's throat went dry. No, I don't. Thanks, though. If you're sure, Sirius said, lifting a card and placing it on another pile. Just because you said that you didn't think he was after you, but then yesterday you said... Yeah, I know, Remus said, feeling his pulse speed up. It's just... I don't want to think about it right now, okay? Okay, then. Sirius looked up and smiled. Remus smiled back and felt such a surge of love for Sirius Black that it made him dizzy. Saturday...
by the way, welcome, Dani. Glad you're loving the channel. We will keep doing it. And, yeah, we are going to be playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Yes, we will.
100%.
Oh, yes, we will.
I'm so excited for that game. It looks so good.
My hands are getting puffy, and I don't know why. Saturday, 29th of December, 1976. Foul! Remus cheered gleefully as Peter's trainer sailed over the top of the goal line. Balls, Sirius sighed. Knew that was a bit ambitious. We should leave this up, Remus said, readjusting the hanging bed sheets. Imagine playing this with more people. Evans would make us take it down. Only after she'd had a go, I bet. You like her, don't you? Remus gave him a sharp look. Not this again. What? Sirius smirked, levitating an apple from the fruit bowl the elves had left out. You're obsessed with finding me a girlfriend. I'm not. I just don't want you to miss out on any of that stuff. Sirius got the apple through the largest hole and punched the air. Yes! 5 points, Remus returned dryly. You're still 20 down. He cleared his throat. And I'm not missing out on anything. I know you don't think you are, Moony, but I'm just saying... Well, don't be angry with me. I'm not. Remus fired an inkwell at the sheets so hard he missed and splattered the white fabric with a bright blue splodge. You seem pretty angry. Sirius lowered his own wand, turning to Remus. Remus didn't look at him. I don't want a girlfriend. How many times? I know you say that, but I can't help think there must be a reason behind it. I think I know why. Sirius shifted awkwardly, and Remus looked at him sideways, his heart pounding in his chest. He should have expected this eventually. It's because of the werewolf thing, isn't it? Sirius said. Remus opened his mouth, then closed it again.
Really? Really? He sat down, head in his hands, and tried not to laugh. Sirius mistook this for something else and said gently, "You're worried about a girl finding out, right? But I mean, Evans knows, and she's fine with it, so I don't see why you couldn't find someone else, and your scars aren't as bad as you think they are." "Oh, really?" Remus snorted. "Yeah," Sirius nodded encouragingly. "They're cool, and you're quite good-looking. You're tall, and Remus looked up at him curiously. Sirius Black was blushing. Jesus Christ, Remus thought. What have we got ourselves into?
So he really is that oblivious. It isn't like a conscious thing that he's trying to fight. It's just, wow, Sirius. Wow.
Sunday, 30th of December, 1976.
How far do you reckon Pete and Desdemona have gone? Why are you thinking about that?
Remus wrinkled his nose in the dark.
Dunno, Sirius replied. Can't sleep.
Remus rolled onto his side and peered across the bedroom to where Sirius lay in his own bed. He could clearly make out his pale outline. He was lying on his back, staring up at the canopy, arms behind his head.
Not tired?
Remus asked. They'd both been in his bed only an hour before. He felt the absence keenly, but there was nothing to be done about it.
Suppose not. Keep thinking about tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Last day of the year.
Yep. It would be their last day alone, too. Everyone was due back at the 1st of January, and the bubble they'd lived in for the past 11 days would burst.
Making resolutions?
Remus asked, yawning.
Not really, just the usual stuff.
He sounded sad.
Stuff I should stop doing.
Well, Remus thought quickly,
why don't you think about the stuff you want to do? Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Remus stifled another yawn.
Like how you're always talking about going to London. Muggle London. Properly. I mean, not just a dodgy squat in Mile End. Oh, yeah, Sirius said, cheering up. We should do that in the summer. Can we go to Carnaby Street? Don't see why not. I want to learn to play guitar. Of course you do. And go camping. And see Bowie in concert.
Remus smiled softly, listening to Sirius's dreams as he drifted off to sleep. Monday, 31st of December, 1976.
Do you know any sewing spells?
Remus asked thoughtfully, sipping a mug of tea from his favourite armchair and looking up at the bed sheets which would have to come down today.
Why would I know sewing spells?
Sirius asked from the floor. He was sitting over a cauldron with a book beside him, trying to create his own fireworks to celebrate New Year's Eve.
I was just thinking about the sheets.
Sirius waved a hand.
They won't even notice. Or to fix that crystal ball we broke too. Nah. And probably should look for those chess pieces that went, missing.
2 days ago they'd accidentally fired an entire set out of the window. They'd summoned most of the pieces back, but the Queen and 2 knights were still in the bushes somewhere below.
Look, everyone knew it was just going to be the 2 of us here for Christmas, Sirius replied, waving his wand carefully over the cauldron. It was their responsibility to lock up anything they didn't want to get shot out the window. And Peter's bed? It stopped making that weird noise now. Yeah, but it still giggles when you sit on it. He'll work out how to fix it, or get Desdemona to help him. You worry too much.
Bang! The contents of the cauldron exploded in Sirius's face, knocking him backward and filling the room with a plume of lime-green smoke. Remus ran for the window, coughing, trying not to laugh at Sirius's startled expression, face black with soot. I told you we should just ask Flitwick. The dust settled, and now the whole room was covered with a fine green film. Remus raised an eyebrow. Sirius smirked.
Leave it to the house elves? I'm going for a shower.
He did go to Flitwick in the end, and the tiny charms professor was only too pleased to impart some advice on creating perfect fireworks, without any messy potions or cauldrons.
He made me promise not to tell McGonagall that he taught me, Sirius laughed. He's really gone up in my estimation, old Flitters. Can't believe you went without me. I'm best at charms, Remus muttered as he climbed out of their bedroom window to sit on the ledge beside Sirius. You were sleeping. Sirius nudged him jovially. Still, Remus grumbled, folding his arms against the cold. Their legs dangled precariously over the edge, but he wasn't as afraid of heights as he once had been. Thank James's relentless broom training for that. He'd only taken a nap earlier to ensure he'd be able to stay up till midnight, which was now only minutes away. It was very quiet outside, other than the occasional animal noise rising from the forbidden forest, or the soft hooting of the owls in the owlery they might have been completely alone in the world. They were content to sit in this silence, as the last moments of 1976 slipped away under a frozen winter sky. Remus felt a deep sense of satisfaction and contentment. It was bittersweet. He was looking forward to seeing James, Peter, and the girls again. He was looking forward to the spring term. But still, as soon as the Hogwarts Express pulled into the station the next afternoon, everything he and Sirius had shared over the past 12 nights would have to be tidied away and locked up until it was safe to resurface. Sirius raised his pocket watch, one he'd received for his 17th birthday from the Potters. He held it up so that Remus could read it too. 5 seconds to go. Sirius smiled at him and squeezed his knee. Ready? He lifted his wand. Remus grinned back and nodded. Ready.
Oh my god, it's the end of the chapter. Wow, we can talk about it now.
Yes. Only literally an hour later.
A good chapter, but a very long one.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So long. I had to read so much.
Right? That chapter might have to be its own video when I get to setting it up with just the audio.
I know, I'm sitting here like after we're done streaming, I was going to read a chapter, but I'm like, I don't know if I got it in me to read any more today. I might have to wait till tomorrow to record some more. Woo!
Wow, a lot though. What is going on with them? It's like neither of them know.
Oh, God. A giggling bed. Yeah, right?
Ooh, Harry Potter clue. I didn't know there was a Harry Potter clue.
Yeah, there is.
That's awesome.
I had it when I was a kid. Because they had Harry Potter clue before the movies came out. Now they have Harry Potter movie art clue. But still. Yeah, they have Harry Potter clue. And all the rooms are like the trophy room, the dungeon.
The third Albus Dumbledore in the dungeon with the diadem.
Well, when the game I had came out, it was just the third floor corridor, and like if you rolled something, like Fluffy would come out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Filch could catch you.
Oh.
Harry Potter Clue was a lot of fun. I liked it.
That does sound really fun.
Yeah. It was good.
We should get that. We have to break out our Cards Against Muggles again sometime.
Oh, Cards Against Muggles.
Yeah,
we should do some more Cards Against Muggles sometime.
The chapter we just read was 103?
Yes, it was chapter 103, 12 Nights.
12 Nights.
That was the name of the chapter.
Oh, okay.
12
Nights.
It was 12 nights. Serious, though.
Well, you're never too old for Harry Potter. And you're never too old for Clue, either.
No.
I still love Clue.
Sirius not understanding why Remus doesn't like girls.
I know. So I think that kind of confirms Sirius is bi.
Yeah.
Or in extreme denial.
Yeah. Just...
Right, Remus's 12 best nights. On the first night of Christmas...
My true love gave to me.
I don't remember what he gave him the first night.
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't remember. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Something carpet burn and a mince pie. I don't know.
And then hanging out in the cave with the record player. Well, they didn't bring the record
They
player.
didn't, but Sirius wanted to.
Yeah.
They got stoned. They got drunk.
I know.
There was lots of sexy time.
I'm wondering what the heck the teachers get paid now, because so far it seems there's the theory that McGonagall gambles a lot to make money on the side.
That's why Harry had to be Seeker.
You know, the greenhouses are growing some funky stuff.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's confirmed now.
So
Sprout has a side hustle.
Yeah, Sprout
For sure.
has a side hustle.
Yep.
Snape, I mean, come on, he can make potions. You know he's making potions for people on the side. Other than Voldemort and Dumbledore and Lupin.
People who would... I don't know, does Snape have the time to make stuff for other people? Maybe that's part of why he's so angry. He doesn't have time to have a side hustle. Maybe it's like third year, he's like, I can finally, like, I can make a little extra on the side, and then Lupin shows up, and he's like, son of a bitch. I could be making this for someone else and selling it, and I gotta just...
But think of the exposure you're gonna get, Snape.
That's what Dumbledore says.
Yeah.
Severus, consider this good exposure for your skills, and everyone will know you're the best at it.
All the werewolves will be coming to you. 10 galleons a leaf? Damn. That's steep.
That's yeah, jeez. I don't know if I want to spend that much. Jeez, 10 galleons, that's a lot.
Dan only handles the high rollers.
I guess so. Yeah. He only sells to families like the Malfoys.
Right? And the magical equivalent of Snoop Dogg.
I'm trying to think of who that could possibly be. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. I could see Slughorn every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Slughorn he's got to relax.
You think he ever...
every now and then.
You think he ever laces it with a little...
Felix
Felicis, yeah. But yeah, you know Slughorn on the side is probably making Felix Felicis.
Slughorn doesn't need to have a side hustle, though.
That's true. Everyone just sends him stuff.
Yeah, Slughorn doesn't need to have a side hustle. Slughorn
The Slug
networked.
Club is his side hustle.
That's right. Slughorn did it different. He's like, I'm just gonna network. He didn't need to do anything on the side.
Right.
He's just so personable and charming and all of that.
And then Flitwick, I don't know. What
He's a
Flitwick would
charms
do.
guy.
Yeah.
Does he do charms on people's like objects and stuff for money?
Maybe?
Or does he do protective charms for money? Like that kind of thing?
Security guy on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Defensive charms. Or beautiful. Maybe he's like a party decorator.
Oh, interior decorator Flitwick.
Yeah. Or for like parties, he does like all the fancy charms and all the like the ribbons and all that stuff. Maybe that's what he does.
Maybe he runs a wedding service.
Yeah. There you go.
That's
what the house elves do in the summertime. They go out with Flitwick and cater weddings.
Speaking of the house elves, Sirius showing that he hates house elves.
Yeah.
Just leave it for the house elves.
Yeah, Sirius clearly demonstrating that, like later in life, he does not care about what the house elves are up to.
No.
Does not care.
He treats all house elves equally. Like crap.
And then later tells Harry what you can tell a lot by a person based on how they treat their inferiors. Okay, Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave it for the house elves. I did think that was pretty funny though when Mooney was just straight up like, "What? Do you want to play chess? No. Do you want to fly? No. Do you want to play the game? No. Do you want a blowjob? Mooney!
How dare you?
How dare you?"
It's like, where have you been for the past, month.
Right, right. Like, have you not been participating in this
I think
situation? I don't know.
I think my favorite part though was when Sirius looks at him and he's just like, "It's a werewolf thing, isn't it?"
You're afraid to let someone in because you're a werewolf.
Oh,
Poor Lupin. I just feel bad for Lupin. and Lupin's reaction in his head, he's just like, "What? For real? What?" I think Lupin was kind of hoping like he would get it, maybe. Like, oh my god. I think Katie is right. Maybe Creature just gave him a bad first impression.
yeah, that's
All house elves suck. After Creature, they all suck. They're
I
all the
mean,
same.
in his defense, it seems like all house elves give bad first impressions. Because let's face it, I don't think anyone liked Dobby
To start.
in book 2. Chamber of Secrets, he looked like an awful person. Awful.
He wasn't awful.
He was
just-
ruining Harry's life
Yeah, but not on purpose.
and causing him physical and mental scarring.
Yeah, his furry little problem.
His logic was Harry Potter can't be in danger if Harry Potter can't move. Surprised he didn't just take out a crowbar and break his kneecaps.
Oh god. That bludger thing really could have killed him.
Yeah.
No one can hurt Harry Potter if Harry Potter is dead. Oh.
I know. Harry, I'm gonna save you even if it kills you.
Yep.
Magical arrow to the knee.
Yes.
I used to be a wizard like you till I took an arrow to the knee.
Anyway, I don't remember where else. Right, I just feel like so much happened, but at the same time, not a lot happened other than they just.
It was a back and forth between, oh, they love each other. Sirius has no clue what's going on. Oh, they love each other. What? You're a werewolf? That's why? It was just Sirius being completely clueless the whole time.
But definitely engaging in everything
Yeah.
and having a good time.
It's like he has a split personality. Maybe we're going to find out he's bipolar.
I kind of envy Slughorn and his treats.
Could go for some crystallized pineapple.
Yeah, I kind of envy Slughorn, and I just kind of envy Slughorn and his lifestyle just a little bit. Just a little bit. Slughorn does just get the best of everything and really doesn't have to do anything to get it. Not anymore.
I wonder how much of that was due to Felix Felicis. You know, in his younger days, he was probably doing shots of that.
No, he said.
That's what he said. That's what he said. But are you going to give away all your secrets?
Slughorn just lives his best life. That's right, Katie. Slughorn just lives his best life. I would like that.
Right?
I mean, I wouldn't want to be Dumbledore.
No.
That's stressful.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't want to be Snape.
With
That's
great power comes great
That's
responsibility.
what I'm saying. I would not want to be Dumbledore. I would not want to be Snape. That's stressful.
No, definitely not Snape.
I wouldn't want to be McGonagall.
You know.
She's had a hard time.
And
And then she
again,
also has
I mean,
she then has to deal with the Marauders in school. Then she has to deal with Fred and George.
yeah, but at the same time, honestly, if I was McGonagall, like, I would definitely have those days where, you know, you'd hear stuff happening in the common room and stuff blowing up. and he'd just be like, "No, not today." Turn into a cat and just curl up on the windowsill.
Ah, that's right. That's right. They say that in book 2. Mike has a point. Flitwick was a master dueler. Maybe that's how he makes his side money.
Oh, yeah.
He was a dueling champion. He does say that.
Do you think he goes to like some underground wizard fight club?
Maybe. Maybe McGonagall goes with him and she bets on him.
bets on That's why they're so close.
That's why they're close. They work together.
I could see it. I want to believe.
I want to believe. That's canon now. That's the side hustle. McGonagall and Flitwick teamed up.
Mr. Dillon, hello and welcome.
Definitely wouldn't want to be Lockhart.
I know.
No. I'm feeling Slughorn.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to be Lockhart.
After book 2. Right, Katie? It makes so much sense. That's what it is. And Dumbledore just turns a blind eye. He doesn't. It's fine. Dumbledore doesn't care.
Exactly.
He's fine with it.
Dumbledore has to invest all the money into his side gig of finding the Hallows.
That's right. That's Dumbledore's side
Treasure
hustle.
hunting isn't cheap, so he can't pay the teachers enough.
Have you seen what happened on Oak Island? The Hallows is an investment, guys. Yeah, I don't know. Slughorn seems like it's where it's at.
It was probably after the first year. Well, you see, the Philosopher's Stone was destroyed, so we can't give you raises this year.
No more raises. Dumbledore's just like, you do you. Yeah, I think that's he's just it's fine. It's fine.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to be Moody.
Sprout gives him discounts.
Sprout gives him discount.
He likes to go watch Flitwick fight, and him and McGonagall have like a rivalry, going back and forth with their bets.
I wouldn't want to be Moody. He's old, probably achy, paranoid about everything.
The man has lost 50% of his limbs.
No, he's only got the one missing leg. He's only got the
missing an eye.
Yeah, but that's not a limb.
Well, no. But I was thinking like there was something wrong with his arm, but I guess not.
No.
That would be too piratish.
Yes.
If there's anything wrong with his arm.
Also, living in a trunk for a year.
Yeah, I mean, no one would like that.
I would definitely not want to live Lupin's life. Just saying.
Although, he's living in a trunk for a year. Creature in his little boiler room crevice is probably like, oh, how terrible.
All right, Patrick, have a good one.
Take care, Patrick. Oh, that's another thing I was thinking. Harry was more or less the Dursleys' house elf.
Yeah.
Shove him in a room under the stairs. Creature, shove him in a room. I can't remember. It wasn't under the stairs. It was like a utility room, but
yeah.
Either way. And then only acknowledge them when you need something done.
Yep.
Hey, Harry, cook these eggs.
Boy. Wasn't even Harry. Boy.
Yeah. Boy.
Boy, you better make me the perfect fried eggs.
That being said, Harry is probably a killer chef.
It probably makes pretty good eggs.
That's right.
I bet his kids...
Ginny is eating good.
Yes, she is.
That's why he was a stay-at-home dad for so long.
Yep. Because he knew how to make all the
food. Like, you can't get a job.
You gotta cook. I need you home to make
food. Never
food.
cooked. My mom cooked. Now you cook. You have to be here.
Katie said, "Oh, I missed the Vernon voice." It's been quite some time, hasn't it? Boy.
Oh man, we're gonna have to read like a Vernon fanfic next so we can get some more of the
Fan fiction
voice.
about the
Yeah.
Dursleys? Oh, dear Jesus. Do we want to open that can of worms?
Should be like
What's out there?
should be like a fanfic where Dudley starts showing signs of being a wizard
I'm
and
sure
how
that-
they react.
I'm sure that that's out there. I'm sure that those stories are out
Harry
there.
leaves and Vernon's like, now I can relax. No more weird things happening. And then weird things continue to happen. Dumbledore shows up a week later. Oh, it seems I forgot something. Dudley, come with me.
Ickle Diddykins is a wizard too.
Big D.
No post on Sundays.
Think anyone calls Dumbledore Big D? I think there was that one professor. Lockhart, probably. Oh, Big D, welcome.
I would pay money to see Lockhart call Dumbledore Big D.
Well, we can. Go ahead and do the voice.
I mean,
Set the stage. Lockhart working on filling out autographs at his desk. Dumbledore walks in and scene.
well, hello, Big D.
I really wish you wouldn't call me that. It's getting weird.
Look how lovely my joined writing is now, Big D. Would you like me to address it that way? Dumbledore is an awful lot of letters, and then my picture will be covered.
I don't even know where to go. That's just great right there. I don't know where to go other than we're letting you go. We're giving your salary to Dobby.
Oh my god, Dobby teaching defense against the dark arts. No one must touch Harry Potter!
Class dismissed.
That's it. That's just the class. No one touches Harry Potter. That's it.
Or honestly, Dobby would be the perfect defense against a dark arts teacher because no one knows how to defend against house elf magic. So if he teaches them house elf magic, boom. Now what you'll need to do is snap your fingers. That's it. Defense against the dark arts.
Harry's just sitting there like, Ginny, pay attention. Then I don't have to cook all the food all the time. Watch. Dobby's going to teach you how to cook. He's going to do it. Watch.
Oh, Dobby would make a great teacher. He could teach the home ec class.
Could teach a dodgeball class with that bludger.
Teams. Dobby versus everyone else. Oh.
Oh goodness. I know everyone no post on Sunday.
And I missed it, but Wintermute Live, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
Oh, sweet. Yes, thank you. I've been laughing so much.
I know.
Sorry.
I'm like, okay. Oh,
Get it
should we
together.
read one more chapter?
I don't know.
As long as it's not an hour-long chapter.
Oh, I don't know. That's what I said. I don't know. We could probably read one more chapter, but I have to pee first.
Okay, laughing too hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was too much laughing. Oh, how to steal mail and grievously injure your friends, but not kill them. That's Dobby's class.
How to stop them from hurting themselves. Just break their bones. They can't hurt themselves if they can't move. Remember that.
That's Dobby's rule number 1. Your friends cannot hurt themselves if they cannot move. We will bring back the ginger guy. He's just been very busy lately. He's just had a lot going on. That's why we haven't seen him lately.
Yeah.
He had to travel. He had to take some time off. He's just been really busy. But we will be bringing Noelle back.
Because we are reading 13 and a Half Lives of Blue Bear. So...
What's going on in here? Oh, we got 2 separate chat things
so-
going on. Let me use the bathroom
Yeah.
while you deal with.
So Wintermute, we're also streaming on our YouTube channel. That's why. It's a simultaneous stream on Twitch and YouTube.
Shoot.
So we have both the chats going. So that's why you can see the chat on the screen, but not actually in the Twitch chat. So what's going on here today is we're reading the Harry Potter fanfic of All the Young Dudes. It follows the life of Remus Lupin through his journey through Hogwarts along with the Marauders. And right now we're just kind of joking about the teachers of Hogwarts and who would make the best teachers. I was like, that, Katie, I shouldn't admit it, but yes, I thought Ron at first too. But yeah, Noelle is his name. Noelle has just been busy. He'll be back. The shelf? No. The bookshelf doesn't block it. It's just the angle that the camera's at. It makes it look like that, but no, it doesn't actually block the door.
We do need.
Yeah, we do need to move it. We are actually going to be moving it. That big bookshelf over there, we're going to get rid of, and we're going to get more of a corner bookshelf to kind of match this one. So it'll all be just one and wrap around. So that's going to move over at some point, but for right now, we have it kind of how we like it. Oh, you got the copy, Katie? Yes. Yes, you should definitely read the 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Blue Bear. It is so good. I know. Well, we read it and we were supposed to actually do our book club this past Thursday on it. And then some stuff came up with Noelle and he couldn't make it. So now me and Lex have just been sitting here like antsy, like we want to keep reading further, but we don't want to just like stop. Or go and then start talking about something that's going to happen after where we're reading to. Oh, how does Harrison like it? Oh, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, he was? That's awesome.
Oh, I'm a little chilly. I'm getting a little chilly.
Oh, okay.
I need a sweater. Maybe I can get a sweater.
The 13 and a Half Lives of Blue Bear.
It's about the 13 and a half lives of the blue bear. I don't really know what else to say about it other than that. We do mostly, Wintermute, we do mostly do Harry Potter stuff. We've read the entire series.
Yep.
So we have a chapter by chapter read through of Harry Potter on our YouTube channel. And
Which
we
was
are
actually my first read through of Harry Potter.
Yes, because he had never read it before. And now we are currently reading A Song of Ice and Fire on the YouTube. Oh, shoot. This one's got my job on it.
Oh. Don't want to promote the place that you work?
No!
Well, now they know.
Well,
I mean, I'm wearing this. Do I work at Chobani? Maybe, maybe not.
No,
Who
but my
knows?
job might watch and go, "Oh, you are swearing and representing our company while you're swearing and talking about gay wizards."
That would be the greatest way to get fired. You talked about gay wizards on the internet. We're gonna let you go.
I'd be proud to be fired for that. Oh.
No, the Captain Bluebear isn't related to the Potter world.
It's a German book,
Yes. It's
but he has a series of books that are set in the fictional universe that Captain Bluebear takes place in.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
Okay.
There's like 4 books or something. There's a few. I don't know if it's like a series, but they all take place in the same world. Oh, I don't know too much about them. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
3. Okay, Katie said
Okay.
there's 3. Well, I think Katie's mentioned before V is a big fan.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's like really into the books.
I'm totally down to read the other ones too.
Oh yeah,
I guess,
so far with this one, I'm like, I'll read the other ones. This is great.
But I can recommend because after reading the first 5 chapters, it really gives off those Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like the writing style is most akin to that.
It's definitely got that vibe. There's some Rowling-esque stuff to it too.
Absolutely. But the style,
it's very
Douglas Adams.
It's very, yeah.
If you like those books, I think you will definitely like Blue Bear.
Katie says that she doesn't think the other books all involve Blue Bear.
They don't. Never mind. Don't want it.
You just like it because you think Blue Bear makes Bailey faces.
He does. I know he does.
We're waiting to see when Noelle is available again for a Thursday night to do the book club. We've kind of just been waiting on him to have some free time.
Yeah.
So, yay!
Early morning in Australia.
Fun.
Yeah, because we were supposed to start the book club for Blue Bear this past Thursday, and that kind of fell through. So hopefully this Thursday, but we don't have confirmation on that just yet.
So, all right, Wintermute Live. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
And yes, by all means, check us out. Thank you. And hopefully we see you again soon. It's almost sleepy time here in Germany. Yeah, it's 4 p.m. on the East Coast in the United States here, so I can imagine it's getting late. And I agree, Katie, I love a book with a map in it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 6:50 is pretty early. I don't like to get up that early on a Saturday. I was upset I had to get up at 8 this morning. So, just saying.
I used to wake up really early.
I know.
And I've shifted now.
Well, you and I used to get up at 5 in the morning to do the Harry Potter reading.
That's true. I did. Yeah, so I'm going to answer a frequently asked question, which is about either me being stoned or I look like I'm asleep. It's because a lot of the earlier videos, especially from Philosopher's Stone up until maybe it was Goblet, but definitely Azkaban. The only time we could read with my job was super early in the morning or super late at night.
Yep.
Because for my job, I would have to wake up at 3 in the morning and then be to work at 5 and basically work all day and then take care of Ramona and stuff. And by the time she got to sleep, it was 9 o'clock at night. And then I'd have to do it all over again. So it was 10 o'clock at night or super early, 4 o'clock in the morning on the weekends when we would record those. And
so
that's why
he was not stoned.
I was not stoned. I was just very, very sleepy and very groggy.
Oh, man. The old days.
Yeah. My job at the time was not conducive to recording videos.
No. Katie says it's impressive you were able to pay so much attention to the story at the time.
It was. There were actually a couple of times, little behind the scenes action here. There were a couple times where we actually had to just stop recording because I did like nod off. You remember that? There
Yep.
were a couple times where I was just like, no, I'm listening. I'm listening.
It is snow
'Cause
raining
it's,
outside.
It's really, really hard to stay awake when you're tired and someone is reading basically a bedtime story to you very well. So it's like,
I know, like it for me it was different because like I had to wake up and be awake enough to read. So like I was staying awake because I was reading it and I was trying to remember the voices and stuff. And then all you had to do though was sit and listen. In a way you had the harder job
yeah.
because you had to stay awake and you had to stay focused and you had to listen.
Yeah, when we started discussing, like, it was fine. I was
Yeah.
like awake because I was doing something, but
Sounds like V when we're watching a movie. Evan does that too when we watch movies.
yeah.
Well, I'll be like into it watching it and then he's just sitting there like this. And I'll be like, "Are you watching this?" "Yes." It was like last night. You were on the couch. I was watching.
Oh, see, she does the same thing. They have to watch a movie in 2 sittings. So it's not just me.
Yeah, I know. Yep, we have the same thing. I'll finish it, and then the next day we'll have to finish that movie, and I'll be like, I watched it already, but okay, I'll watch it again.
I'm one of those weird people that like watching stuff on normal TV because there's commercials. Because it gives me an excuse to like stand up and like walk around or go get something and come back and like reset my mind. And okay, so Aragon.
Another one, a recommendation to read Aragon.
We are getting a lot of Aragon recommendations.
Do we have to?
I've never read them, so I mean,
I read the first 2 and I never finished.
well, there's a perfect reason to finish.
I feel like we have to do Lord of the Rings first.
Well, we have to finish up Game of Thrones.
Well, we do have to finish up Game of Thrones. But
maybe Finding Nemo.
Where the fuck is my son? Oh.
Rated R Finding Nemo.
it'd be Taken
Yeah,
with fish.
yeah, pretty much. Liam Neeson plays Marlin. That would be great.
Dory is still the same though.
What?
Dory is the same though.
Yeah, Dory's.
Nothing about Dory stays the same. Katie has recommended his Dark Materials multiple times.
Yep.
They're on the bookshelf right over there. We've got we've got his Dark Materials. We've got Percy Jackson. We're in the middle of A Song of Ice and Fire. We've had a lot of people
Oh, geez, Mike. I'm so sorry. Is he all right?
yeah, I hope he's okay. Go do what you gotta do. We weren't gonna be on much longer anyway, but I hope your boyfriend's all right, man. Let us know that he's okay, please.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. But we've just had so many Lord of the Rings requests. I feel like it's got to be next, or at least simultaneously while we do A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't.
For anyone who doesn't know, though, as soon as we start our book club again, we're doing Blue Bear,
Yeah.
which is a German author, and we decided, actually, because we talked about like our international community, we're going to start doing like a around the world, where we're going to be reading a book from an author from a different country every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got Germany. We've definitely done.
We did Japan last time.
We did Japan. We've done England or the UK.
Big time.
And I guess US kind of working on.
Well, the Snow Leopard was a U.S. author. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to. Who gets to pick the next book?
I'm pretty sure it's you.
I think I get to pick the next book. Ooh.
Or no, Noel.
No, he picked
Is-
Tales of Earthsea.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah,
Or
you.
Wizard of Earthsea.
Yeah, it's you.
Okay. So I need to pick an international title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, let's figure out when we're gonna do Blue Bear.
Okay.
Oh God.
He's fine. No bones broken. Okay.
Okay.
Phew.
Thank God.
Phew, phew, phew. That's good. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Oh, insurance info. Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
That's too bad.
But I mean, look on the bright side. You get to go car shopping and get a new car.
When the prices are higher than ever. Yay.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry.
hey,
Sorry.
I'm trying to like.
The important thing is your boyfriend's
insurance,
okay.
Insurance will help cover it.
Insurance, yeah. You tell insurance what's up. You tell them they need to cover that.
Oh yeah. So were we gonna read another chapter?
Well, it's 4:00.
Yeah, but we said we are gonna go till around 5.
Did we?
Yeah.
I thought we were doing a 2-hour stream.
I thought we were gonna do an extra hour. No.
We hadn't discussed it. I mean, it's fine. I just.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's read another
You,
chapter.
you did not bring that to my attention.
Let's read another chapter. As long as you're feeling up to it.
If we read, okay, here's the deal. If we read another chapter, then I'm probably not going to read any chapters of Game of Thrones until tomorrow.
I still have stuff to work on and edit, so
That's fine. Okay. Okay. Just because I think I'm gonna be. That was an hour. That chapter.
It was a heavy chapter.
It was so much. All right. Oh yes. Okay. Here we go. Oh, she got me. We're gonna use the bathroom, then we're gonna read another one. But then we went on a tangent
We
for
did.
a hot minute. Okay. Chapter 104, 6th year. Bad Moon Rising. I see
That sounds.
bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Don't go around tonight, as it's bound to take your life.
God, that's terrible.
Whoops. There's a bad moon on the rise. Oh!
I was gonna say, I hope this doesn't turn into a Twilight.
Okay, Dan. Hey, a song you know. Should I sing this song to the tune of Bad Moon Rising? Because it's not what the song is in the beginning of the chapter.
You just go with the flow. Sing what you feel.
I don't know what I feel right now. Oh, of course. We'll read a bit more. Depending on the tangent, we'll see if we get in 2 chapters if we hang out till 5. Gather round, all you people. Watch me while you can. Been trawling too long, been losing out strong for the strength of another man. I've been hasty, wasty, standing on the back step, waiting for the phone to ring, but the semi-acoustic love affair is driving me to the brink.
You're just shaking the table.
I'm just looking for a friend. I'm just looking for a friend. You don't have to have a big wheel. You don't have to be the end. I'm just looking for a friend.
I don't know why. That was great. But it just made me think of the song, I Need a Hero. I can't remember the lyrics, so I'm not gonna sing it, but that's
I
all I
need a
remember.
hero. Yeah, I don't remember the words either. Actually, that makes me think of that song from Bleach. Ichigo's theme song.
Oh,
Now you feel like number one, shining bright for everyone, living out your fantasy, the brightest star for all to see. Do 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 do.
that was Fuzz you were talking to about that one.
I was talking to Fuzz about that.
I remember you mentioning it, but
Definitely want the compilation at the end of the book. All the songs. Huh.
oh, that's awesome, Mike. I'm glad to hear it kind of worked out.
Oh, that's good. He was sober, and
Yeah.
that's good. I'm glad it all worked out for you. That's definitely good. Oh. Hey. Hey. It was Voldemort's birthday in the last chapter.
It was.
Happy birthday, Voldemort. Tuesday, 1st of... Oh, I guess I should have... Oh, I already... Yeah, okay. Tuesday, 1st of January, 1977. Here they come! Sirius was practically bouncing next to Remus as they watched the horseless carriages approaching the castle gates. Thank God, Remus joked. Some intelligent conversation. Oh, shut up. You love me, really. Sirius kicked him in the shin. I do, Remus thought pitifully. I really bloody do. But of course that's not what Sirius had meant. James disembarked from the mysteriously drawn carriages like a soldier returning from war. He and Sirius beamed at each other until Remus thought that the two of them ought to be snogging, not Sirius and Remus. Lily and Peter climbed out of the carriage behind, and Remus hugged her and nodded to them. Good Christmas, Lily asked. Thanks for the chocolates. Thanks for the gloves, he replied, waving them at her to demonstrate. Really warm. Yeah, cheers for the gloves, Evans. James waved his own wool-covered hands. Lily blushed deeply and mumbled something about not wanting to leave anyone out. Earlier, Remus and Sirius had walked alone through a castle of empty halls, echoing and hushed with the whispers of the portraits and the eerie drifting ghosts. But as they all returned together, it was as if the school was transformed in an instant. The flagstones rattled with the busy chatter of friends reuniting, every arch and column filled with black-robed students. Remus felt he was awakening from a strange and quiet dream. It was incredible how quickly everything settled back to normal. Peter and Desdemona started a fight almost immediately. Lily hexed James halfway through dinner. Mary had tales of her newest boyfriend, which Marlene was rolling her eyes at. Sirius had eyes only for James, of course, but Remus was keenly aware of the looks he was getting from other quarters. All of the unanswered Christmas cards would be coming home to roost. So, what did you two get up to? James asked, mouthful of roast beef. You didn't give much away when we spoke. Sirius and Remus looked at each other only for the tiniest moment, long enough for Remus to note the spark of panic in Sirius and grin at James. Spend most of it trying to keep Padfoot out of trouble, obviously. James and Peter laughed, and that was all anyone needed. Sirius settled back, shoulders lowering, and Remus watched him from underneath his eyelashes. This wasn't going to work. It was all too impossible. The night before, just before he drifted off to sleep, Remus had made a decision. He had to talk to Sirius. The irony was not lost on him, that after days and days of nothing but talking, the solution seemed to be more talking. But this time he would make Sirius listen. He only needed an opportunity, which he accepted would not be easy. Opportunity and just a bit more time. He wasn't brave enough just yet. Just now, every song he heard reminded him of Sirius, every soppy sentence in every novel. Maybe he wasn't quite ready to give it all up. Sirius certainly wasn't. Remus had tried questioning him after everyone had been back for a few days, and Sirius had accepted an invitation to Hogsmeade from Emmeline Vance. Don't you think you ought to stop?
Isn't it a bit confusing for you? Why would it be confusing? It's not the same thing.
Sirius raised his eyebrows in genuine surprise.
Oh,
Remus said quietly. He was glad that they were in a cupboard and it was dark.
Oh, isn't it? Well, no, she's a girl. You're Moony.
What does that mean?
It just means, you know, you and me. We're not... And she... Oh, for goodness sake!
He got irritated and gave up explaining.
I just can't see any reason to stop, okay? It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, Remus sighed.
Look, if someone asked you out, that would be fine, obviously.
Right, Remus nodded.
That's nice of you. Oh, come on, don't start being like that.
Sirius started kissing his neck, and Remus was in no position to argue after that. He'd had plenty of opportunities, really. He was as weak as Sirius when all was said and done. Besides, it was just a secret, as Sirius had once said, long before everything got complicated.
You're not Moony if you don't have a secret.
He could do secrets. Except it was getting harder, especially around the full moon when his nerves were thinnest and every emotion burned just beneath the surface. Then he would see Sirius with some girl or another, watch as she picked fluff from his school jumper, or straighten his tie, or wrap her arms round his waist, and he would want to tear them to pieces. Sometimes he thought it must be obvious. Surely everyone could tell. Surely James could tell? Remus would be sitting with them, or walking beside them, or eating breakfast, and his eyes would just catch Sirius's. And how could no one else feel it? It made him feel guilty. Remus wondered if he was lying to Sirius even more than Sirius was lying to himself. Remus was being dishonest about what he wanted, about how much everything meant to him, and in the end, he could see that he was confusing Sirius even more. The best thing was to lay everything out, then deal with the consequences. Not yet, though. Maybe after the full moon. Thursday, 6th of January, 1977. Remus woke up outside. This was very wrong. The sky above was blue and cracked with clouds. There were trees, black, crooked branches. The breeze was cool on his skin and the leaf litter soft and mulchy beneath him. Not right, but more pleasant than usual. He blinked against the morning light and looked round to see his 3 friends watching him cautiously. Sirius pulled off his cloak quickly and handed it to Remus.
Here, it's chilly. What happened? Why aren't we back in the shack?
Remus frowned, pulling the cloak round himself. He noticed that James was panting hard and holding his arm in a strange way.
Did I hurt you, Prongs?
Not on purpose. James shook his head, obviously keen to keep Remus calm.
You kept trying to get away from us, that's all. We couldn't get... we couldn't get you to follow us like normal, not even Padfoot.
I remember. Remus frowned and climbed to his feet.
Were we hunting?
You were, Sirius said, looking at him oddly.
There was something you really wanted to get at. In Hogsmeade. In Hogsmeade?
It all came flooding back like a bad dream. He'd smelled it first on Christmas Eve in the Hog's Head, and even then he'd known what it was. How could he be so stupid? You sure you're not hurt? Remus asked again, looking at James. James nodded fervently, his messy hair bobbing in the morning breeze. Come on, he jerked his head. We've got to get you back to the shack before Madame Pomfrey gets there. He followed them, treading gingerly over the stony forest floor in bare feet.
We're not that far, Sirius said, walking slowly beside him. We managed to sort of shepherd you in the right direction, but you kept trying to give us the slip. You all have to get back to the castle, Remus said, unable to meet their eyes. I think something might have happened last night. Nothing happened, Moony, Peter said. We didn't lose sight of you, honestly. That's good, Remus nodded. The shack was in sight now. But you still ought to go. Trust me. Thankfully they did, all still shaken by whatever the had taken place just before Remus returned to his human body. Remus entered the shack, dressed, and sat quietly on the bed to wait for Madame Pomfrey. She didn't come. Instead, it was McGonagall who opened the trapdoor, almost an hour after daybreak. "Mr. Lupin," she said, in the usual brisk manner she used when a detention was forthcoming. "Where's Madame Pomfrey?" he asked, feeling very cold all of a sudden. "She's on other business this morning, in Hogsmeade," the professor said, her face lined with concern. "She asked me to attend to you. Are you injured?" "No, I'm fine. What happened in Hogsmeade?" "Come along, Lupin," his teacher said, turning quickly back into the tunnel. "If you're quite well, then we should be getting back to the castle as quickly as possible." "Please." He had to walk quickly to keep up with her, which wasn't easy when your bones were still settling back into their usual positions. "Please, Professor, what happened in Hogsmeade?" "I'm afraid I can't—" "It was a werewolf, wasn't it? An attack?" "Remus!" She turned and looked at him. They were eye level these days, and he was still growing. "How do you know?" she asked sharply. "I could smell it. The other one. I knew they were nearby. It wasn't me, I swear." "No, we'd know if you would have escaped. We'd know if you'd escaped." She seemed very sure about that, so he didn't object. "Was it bad?" "Yes." "Someone's dead?" "I'm afraid so. Now, I can't really talk about it, so let's just get you back to the castle, all right? I know that Poppy usually keeps you in the infirmary for a day or so to rest, but do you think you could go to your lessons as usual today? I think it might be best to avoid any suspicion." "Of course." "You can come to me if you feel unwell at any moment." "I'll be fine." His voice was low and empty. He'd never met another one. Now he knew there was one close by. "Remus," McGonagall said, giving him a severe look. "This was not your fault. This was nobody's fault. Do you understand?" "Yes, Professor." It was better to just tell adults what they wanted to hear most of the time. Perhaps he could write to Ferox or even Moody. Remus desperately wanted to talk to Sirius about it privately, but he supposed he might have to wait a little while. He knew it all now. There had been another wolf in Hogsmeade over Christmas, and it had been waiting for the full moon. They had to be on Voldemort's side, on Greyback's side. Because in Remus's opinion at least, you'd have to be mad or evil, or both, to place yourself near other people during a full moon. Or to have told someone that he recognized the smell on Christmas Eve. Could he have saved a life? He hadn't been sure, and he didn't want to get in trouble for sneaking out. The breakfast hall was buzzing with the news. Owls were flying back and forth. Lily sat deliberately next to Remus and squeezed his hand under the table. He squeezed back gratefully and thought how easy it would be to fall in love with her, if he was that type of man. "It's horrible," Marlene said tearfully, reading the paper over Mary's shoulder. "That poor woman, murdered in her bed." It had been a young couple who'd moved to Hogsmeade in November, both magical, but she was Muggle-born. She was dead, her husband bitten and apparently at St. Muggo's. Their wedding photo graced the front page of the Prophet and made Remus sick to look at it. "Is it still on the loose?" Remus asked, keeping the hand which was not holding Lily's flat on the table so no one could see him trembling. "Looks like," Mary confirmed, still engrossed in the article. "No one could catch it. Tonight's not a full moon, so we're all safe for at least another month, I suppose. That's the trouble with werewolves. If you don't catch them on the moon, how are you supposed to catch them at all?" "There must be some sort of test or something," Marlene frowned. "A revealing charm." "Yeah," Mary replied thoughtfully. "Maybe, but then you might end up finding the wrong one." "Well, it sounds like they're all on you-know-whose side anyway, so I don't think it matters." "Let's talk about something else," Lily said loudly. "Yes," James nodded. "Defense against the dark arts next. Anyone had any luck with their Patronus yet?" Only James had, so far. Half an hour later, the class stood slack-jawed and watched James produce a spectacular silver stag which galloped ghostly around the room. The teacher applauded and invited everyone else to try, with varying levels of success. Lily managed a wisp of something, but it wasn't clear yet what it was. Peter had no luck at all, and, to the surprise of nobody, Sirius cast something distinctly dog-shaped, but without the solid brightness of James's creation. Remus didn't so much as feel his wand flinch. He oughtn't to have been surprised. On a morning like that, it was impossible to pin down a happy thought for very long, besides which, he was exhausted from the full moon. "You'll get it, Moony," Sirius encouraged, patting him awkwardly on the back as they left the classroom. "You always do." Remus nodded, wondering what Sirius's happy thought was. Remus had been using various memories of their Christmas together, though with poor results. "My mind's elsewhere, to be honest," he said quietly, so that only Sirius could hear them. "Of course," Sirius replied just as quietly. "That's to be expected." "I knew about it," Remus whispered quickly as the last few students left the room. Sirius stopped, staring at him with that awful look he'd had that morning. Remus grabbed his arm. "I mean, not exactly. I didn't know that would happen, but—" Sirius closed the door behind the last student and whispered a silencing spell. "But what?" "Remember when we went to the Hogshead?" Remus said quickly, and still whispering because he couldn't seem to raise his voice. Sirius nodded. "I smelled something." "I thought you were just pissed." "Yeah," Remus nodded. "I think maybe I did too. Or I thought it was. Well, you know, because I wanted—" He cleared his throat. "Anyway, it was definitely another one. A werewolf. I think it was female." "Not greyback, then?" Sirius said with an immense look of relief. "No." "Well, thank Godric for that." Sirius grasped Remus's shoulder. His face turned to worry again just as quickly. "But Moony, if you could smell them, do you think that they could—" "I don't know. I think so." Okay, well, they didn't come after you, so everything will be fine." He was still holding Remus by the shoulder, keeping him in place like an anchor. It was desperately needed, Remus thought. Every instinct in him said to run. Remus thought for a moment Sirius might kiss him, but they had another lesson to go to, and the DADA teacher had returned, knocking on his classroom door in confusion. Sirius looked disappointed, or at least Remus thought so. It might have been wishful thinking, and gave a final squeeze before they parted. "Don't tell James," Remus said hurriedly as they unlocked the door. "Please, don't tell anyone." "Okay, Moony," Sirius nodded slowly. "Anything you want?"
Oh, no. Just talking about Remus getting a girl. Is this going to be his love?
I don't know. I don't
Fall in love
know.
with a she-wolf? Yeah, McGonagall hunched over, climbing through the tunnel.
For what?
That's what they're talking about.
Oh. Oh, yeah, but she's a lot. I think Katie makes a good point, but she's got black hair still when Harry's at school.
Yeah.
She might be like really young still.
Sure.
We know she's younger
It
than
never
Dumbledore.
says her age, does it?
No.
Okay. So, yeah. She could still be trudging through caves, I guess.
Yeah, why not? She's not
I
like
mean-
depicted as an old lady in the books.
No, but I picture her as Maggie Smith.
Well,
Maggie Smith was a bit older,
yeah,
so
but she did such a great job with the character.
She
I think
did.
that's why.
yeah, 100%.
But yeah.
Maybe that's why I just picture her as older.
I think in the next chapter, I think Remus is gonna spill the beans.
Spill the beans on what? About the wolf?
No, about being gay.
Oh,
He's like
Right.
wanting to talk to Sirius about it. I think it's coming.
this series gonna be like, you are? What? There hasn't been any signs whatsoever of this. It's like an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When they're trying to convince Mac that he's gay.
Oh,
Not gay.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That's gonna be serious. No, I'm not. Serious, we had sex. Doesn't mean I'm gay.
Oh, Mike, you're so welcome. Yeah, he wants Sirius to commit. That's absolutely what it is. Remus is feeling guilty for not telling Sirius that that's what he wants. It misleading Sirius into thinking that this is just like fun casual stuff.
Yeah.
Katie's comment.
This is gonna be as revolutionary as Hagrid being revealed as a Jai. I know. He's not a giant, he's just big boned, that's all.
Madame Maxime said. I mean...
Oh my god, yeah, Sirius is Madame Maxine. I'm not a giant.
Serious.
I'm big boned.
I'm not gay. I just want to have fun.
I just have urges.
Just because I let you touch my pee-pee doesn't mean I'm gay.
It's like those jokes. It's not gay if we don't make eye contact.
Whatever.
You know?
Yeah, Sirius definitely seems to be... Oh, wow, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much. The next chapter is called Spilling Secrets.
Oh, so yeah.
With a major discussion of homophobia at the end of the chapter.
So it is probably Sirius gonna be like, ew, gross.
Oh my god, if Sirius does that. I'm gay. Ew. What? I'm shocked.
Right, we have to read one more chapter.
Yeah, and we gotta. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll read this next chapter and see what the secrets are being spilled are. Yeah. If it's about him being a werewolf, I'm gonna be angry.
I'm kind of along the lines of Maddie. I think the secret is gonna be that Remus loves Sirius. He's gonna just tell him,
like, I'm in love with you.
Yeah. The reason why I'm not dating women is because I love you.
Let's find out. Let's just find out. I swear, if it's something to do with werewolves, I will be mad, though. I will be angry. This better be about love and stuff. It better be. No, it better not be a secret about Peter Pettigrew. No. Chapter 105. 6th year. Spilling Secrets. No major content warnings for this chapter, but discussion of homophobia toward the end. Friday, 14th of January, 1977. Remus tossed and turned under his bedsheets, unable to settle. His bed at Hogwarts, rated as one of the most comfortable he'd ever slept in, a close second to the one he used at the Potters anyway. Rarely had he ever struggled to sleep in it, but the past few nights had been almost entirely sleepless. He couldn't stop thinking about the werewolf in Hogsmeade, about the poor dead woman, and the man who would wake up in St. Mungo's to find that his entire life had been destroyed. Remus had been afflicted for as long as he could remember. The thought of this man being forced to transform for the first time, probably alone, probably still grieving. It was unbearable. He felt a horrible, unmovable sense of guilt. Remus did not sleep. He'd been resorting to reading most of the night until he couldn't keep his eyes open any longer. Tonight he couldn't even concentrate on a book. He rolled onto his front to see if that would help. No, his face was squashed into his pillow that way. He rolled onto his side, but this made his hip hurt. The other side made his ear too hot. He groaned under his breath. "Oi, Mooney," Sirius whispered as the curtains parted.
What's wrong?
He crawled inside silently and with a flick of lumos and a silencing spell. He knelt at the end of the bed, looking at Remus.
Sorry, did I wake you?
Remus squinted at the unnecessary brightness.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Sirius shifted and plonked himself down next to Remus. Remus twisted his mouth, embarrassed.
Look, I'm not really in the mood for... Oh, no, me either. I mean, well, actually, now you mention it. But no, not why I came over. Right. So what's up? Can't sleep. I can tell. Want a fag? Run out. It's okay, I've got some off Emmeline. Come on, shall we go downstairs? It's late, no one will be there, and Prongs will give us shit if we smoke here.
Okay. Remus pretended to go reluctantly. Secretly, he was thrilled that 1. Sirius was worried about him, and 2. Sirius wanted to spend time alone with him without waking up James. The fact that the offered cigarettes came from Sirius's current girlfriend was a fact Remus was willing to overlook for now. Downstairs, they settled by the window on the little love seat there. Both drew their knees up and sat facing each other, so that if Remus stretched just a little, their toes would touch.
So?
Sirius sucked in, lighting a cigarette wordlessly, then passing it to Remus before lighting his own. It was probably something that impressed girls. It impressed Remus too, but he wasn't going to show it.
What's the plan? Plan?
Remus frowned.
You've been up for the past 3 nights and you haven't got a plan? Are you sure you're Mooney?
I want to go back to the Hogshead, Remus said promptly. Sirius let his eyes flicker, but took this news in slowly. He exhaled smoke, looking out the dark window at the waning moon above them before returning to Remus to speak.
Right. Okay, I think I can understand why.
He took a hard drag on his cigarette.
Invisible?
No. Remus shook his head, taking short, nervous pulls on his fag.
No, if they're there, if she's there, then I want to meet her. Remus, no.
Why not? Remus shot back hotly. He was ready for a fight if Sirius wanted one. That would be good. That would be something.
Because it's dangerous? Because you've never met them before and you don't know what they're like, except that they murdered a woman the other night? Because you're not even 17 yet, and if you have to defend yourself with magic, you could get kicked out of school?
Sirius was staring at him as he said all this. Remus blinked in shock. He snubbed out his cigarette and stood up, using his height against Sirius.
You can't tell me what to do. Just don't get in my way. Don't be like that. Look, I understand how you feel. Ha! Okay, I don't understand.
Sirius shook his head impatiently.
But I want you to be safe.
I will be.
It's ages until the next full moon. She won't have any advantage over me. Don't you think that's exactly what Greyback wants?
What are you saying? Remus growled.
That I'm being stupid? No, not stupid, just reckless. Sirius Black lecturing me on recklessness. Very bloody funny, that. Oi.
Sirius stood up now, angry. Yes, here we go, something in Remus said. Go on, try it.
Well, it's pretty rich of you to tell me not to put myself in danger, Remus continued, knowing he was being cruel. You weren't so concerned about my safety this time last year.
Sirius's face fell. He looked down at the carpet and Remus saw what he'd done.
That's not fair, Mooney,
Sirius said quietly. Life's not fair, Remus wanted to say, but he knew how childish and petulant that would sound. That wasn't an argument either of them were going to win, and he was tired, so exhausted from worrying and thinking and imagining and not sleeping.
I have to meet them, he said finally. I think I'll go mad otherwise. I think I'm already going mad. Okay.
Sirius recovered and ran his hand through his hair.
Okay, what about Ferox? Have you tried talking to him? Thought about it. He'll try to stop me. Moody too. It's their place not to let me go to Hogsmeade in the It's their idea not to let me go into Hogsmeade in the first place. All right, we'll go. Together. We'll tell James and... I don't want anyone else to know, Remus said fiercely. It's private. Merlin, Mooney, you're not making this easy. It's not easy. It's fucking difficult, okay? But I've got to do it. Okay. Sirius raised both hands in a peacemaking gesture. We're fighting, Remus thought. We're fighting, and he's the one trying to calm me down. That made him feel a bit dizzy, and he sat down on the nearest sofa. He leaned forward, head in his hands. I'm sorry, he said in a small voice. I know I'm being... It's all just so... I do understand, Mooney. Sirius sat next to him. I'm trying to help. You can't help, Remus said. I have to do this on my own. I can't risk anyone else. It has to be me. I have to... Remus began talking, and it all came out in a jumble of sleep-deprived babble. If I can meet her, then maybe... I have to meet Greyback, one day. I just know I have to. And I want to... Not to join him or anything like that, just to know him, understand why he did what he did, and why he made me who I am. Tears sprang out of nowhere, and he covered his face, ashamed. Sirius was quiet behind him. Sirius was quiet beside him. Mooney? He laid a cool, tentative hand on Remus's shoulder, lightly, as if Remus might spin round and snap at him like a wild animal. He didn't make you who you are. He made me what I am. Oh God, he was sobbing now. He wished he hadn't started this whole conversation, wished he'd just sent Sirius back to bed. The last time he'd cried, he'd been in a similar situation. He'd been sitting next to a boy he loved, saying something which hurt to say. Grant had held him and made him feel like everything would be all right. Remus knew he had no right to expect the same from Sirius. As Remus's shoulders began to shake with emotion, Sirius moved slightly, but he didn't go anywhere. Remus heard him give a strange little noise, which might have been sympathetic or just confused, but he shifted his shoulder closer and slid his hand into Remus's and squeezed his fingers. Pathetically, Remus squeezed back as he wept angrily about Greyback and the poor murdered woman and the dreadful unfairness of everything. Saturday, 15th of January, 1977. Remus woke up at dawn, still curled up on the couch, covered in a woolen blanket from the dresser kept in the corner of the common room. He frowned against the sunlight, blinking and confused while he slowly remembered who he was. Sirius was still there, at the other end, sitting up with his head lolling back in sleep, mouth open. Of course Sirius didn't snore. Remus wished he could watch him for a bit longer in the dim early light, but he'd been scrunched up all night and desperately needed to stretch. He moved carefully, his stiff limbs creaking like the branches of an ancient yew. Sirius stirred, coughed lightly, and opened his eyes. Morning, he grunted, straightening up. What time is it? Nearly 7, Remus replied after a quick glance at the grandfather clock. James will be up for Quidditch in a minute. Yeah. You okay? Remus set his bare feet down on the carpet and rubbed the pins and needles out of his left leg. I slept at least, he replied. Sorry for last night. Pooh! Sirius waved his hand, yawning. It was nothing. I've had much worse meltdowns. What are you two tossers doing down here at this hour? James came bounding down the stairs, broom in hand. He looked at them both, took in their pyjamas and Remus's blanket. Did you sleep here? Had to, Sirius replied, stretching. Anything to get away from your snoring. James grinned, shaking his head. Weirdos. Don't fancy joining me for a quick go round the pitch before practice, Padfoot? Nah, Sirius yawned again. I'm going back to bed. It's Saturday, Potter, you lunatic. It's Hogsmeade later. Don't oversleep, James warned. Sorry, Mooney. He gave an apologetic glance. It's okay, Remus replied. You lot go and have fun. I've got homework, obviously. The common room will be nice and quiet. See you both for breakfast, then,
James asked, halfway out the room already, eager to be the first on the pitch. The common room would start filling up soon, the Gryffindor Quidditch team first, then some of the keener students looking to get their homework out of the way before the trip into the village scheduled for later. Remus looked at Sirius. "Are you really going back to bed?" Sirius raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. Want to come?" For the first time in days, Remus laughed. "Hi, Remus. Can I sit here?" Remus looked up with a small frown that had more to do with a complex astronomy chart than being interrupted. He smiled as soon as he saw who it was and nodded. "Of course, Chris. Take your pick." He motioned to the 5 empty chairs at the table he was using. Christopher sat just one seat away from Remus. "Didn't fancy Hogsmeade?" "Oh, well, I knew you couldn't go, and I'm up behind on a few things, so—" Christopher looked slightly nervous. He sat with his notebooks and parchment clutched in his lap, eyeing Remus shiftily. Did you want to get your work out?" Remus prompted, vaguely amused. "Yeah, sorry." Christopher quickly started spreading out his notes, awkwardly, blushing fiercely. "You okay, Chris?" "Mm-hmm. Yep." "Okay. Well, I'm doing astronomy and making a proper mess of it. You're quite good at stars and stuff, aren't you?" "Yeah. I'm not brilliant, but okay. You want me to take a look?" "Thanks." Remus slid over his chart. "Oh, right. I can see where you've gone wrong. You're a few degrees out." Christopher pulled out his compass and began plotting a new trajectory for Venus. Remus was quite happy to let him get on with it and started flicking through his planner. He had history to do, but had perversely planned to save it for last as a treat. He could probably tell Christopher that to lighten the mood. It was the sort of thing Chris did too. Sirius would only shake his head in bafflement and call him a swot. He was just about to say something when Christopher beat him to it. "I started reading some Muggle books," he said in a rush, as if he'd been building up for it a while. "Over Christmas." "Did you?" Remus smiled politely. He'd been telling Christopher for ages that he was limiting himself by not reading books by non-magical authors. "How'd you get on?" "Yeah, it's been great. I like poetry best." It was a fairly innocuous statement, but Christopher looked as though he was spilling his very darkest secret. His cheeks were crimson now, and he wasn't looking at Remus when he spoke. I like Oscar Wilde. A lot." "Oh," Remus replied steadily, wondering where this was going. He thought he had a pretty good idea what Christopher was getting at, actually, but he needed to stall for time while he worked out how to react. Surely they weren't going to talk about this here and now at 3 o'clock on a Saturday in only a half-empty common room. There were first-years playing gobstones on the carpet, for goodness sake. "Yes, and Christopher Isherwood," Chris continued valiantly. It was brave, Remus decided. It was maybe the bravest thing he'd ever witnessed. "Right, yeah." He cleared his throat, wishing he knew the right way to respond. "You might like Truman Capote, too." Christopher looked at him, half eager, half afraid. They're your sort of writers, too, then?" Christopher was gnawing his lip very hard now. Remus was worried he might bite through the skin. Yeah." He didn't know how he felt about it, really. He'd had an inkling, more than an inkling, about Christopher for some time, but he hadn't expected this in a million years. Christopher looked incredibly relieved and leaned in and said, "How long have you known?" he whispered. Remus leaned back, panicking over who might be listening. He glanced round quickly, then rubbed the back of his neck. "Christ," he breathed. "I really need a cigarette. Want to go for a walk?" This was perhaps the worst possible time to talk about this. But that wasn't Christopher's fault. Christopher didn't know about the werewolf situation, or Greyback, or Sirius's nonsensical attitude towards sexuality, or even that the Marauders were planning to go to war in just a year's time. Christopher only knew one thing, and Remus knew that he needed a friend. They went to the astronomy tower, knowing it was likely to be empty. All the couples were in Hogsmeade today. They sat outside, backs against the parapet, and Remus smoked and Christopher twisted his hands in his lap. "How long have you known?" he asked again. "Since I was 15, Remus replied. "Summer before last. You?"
I think I always sort of had an idea, but... yeah, only for a few months, maybe." "It's gonna be okay, you know," Remus said, hoping he'd sounded believable. It wasn't exactly a lie, but he didn't know for sure. "Do the other Marauders know? About you?" Remus flinched, remembering the heat of Sirius's skin against him from earlier that morning, how he'd held his hand as he cried, how he'd left breakfast early to meet Emmeline. He shook his head. "Nah, not yet." "None of my friends know. You're the only person I've told." Remus didn't know what to say about that. Not everybody had a Grant, he supposed. He half laughed, half sighed. "Sorry, Chris. Wish I had some advice or something, but I'm just muddling through." "That's okay. It's just good to know there's someone else. Is it like this with Muggles?" But I mean, there are queer Muggles, yeah? Obviously Oscar Wilde and that. They used to be able to send you to prison, but it's okay now. Well, not okay. It's not... I mean, it's still better not to be queer, I suppose. What about with wizards?" "Same," Christopher replied glumly. "Better not to be." They were quiet for a bit. Remus started another cigarette. It was becoming a dreadful habit. He struggled to climb the stairs any more without wheezing. "Remus?" Christopher said. "Yeah." I'm glad if there was anyone else who knew, then I'm glad it's you." God, Remus thought. Why do you have to be so bloody sweet? All in all, it had been a very busy Saturday, and it wasn't over yet, Remus told himself as he lay in the dark, still as possible, waiting for his friends' breathing to level out, to tell them they were all asleep. He was keeping still and quiet to try and trick Sirius. He couldn't afford an interruption tonight. He had places to be. Yes, okay. He'd told Sirius he wouldn't go to the Hogshead, or at least that he wouldn't go without him. But Remus justified to himself that this was too important and he had to go alone. He couldn't be responsible for putting any more people in danger than he already had. And, actually, he thought grumpily as he began to creep out of his room, James's cloak stuffed under his robes, who was Sirius to demand anything from Remus? Tossing each other off every now and then clearly didn't mean they had any special claim on each other. Sirius couldn't have everything his own way. He covered himself with the invisibility cloak in the darkness of the stairway, then stole quietly through the half-empty common room and out of the portrait hole. He had the map, and he had his wand. Sooner than he'd expected, Remus found himself already outside the statue of the humpbacked witch, and then he was in the tunnel, walking at a speed he barely managed. He didn't need to light his wand, as he usually did when others were with him. He just ploughed on through the cold air. The smell of chocolate was getting stronger by the minute, and it had never been less appetizing. In Honeydukes he was able to get through the front of the shop with little trouble, though he had a hairpin he'd pinched off Mary just in case. And all of a sudden he was there, standing in Hogsmeade. He kept going. It was really the only option. He could smell her already. She was still there, or had been recently. Remus's heart began to pound. He was more frightened than ever he'd been in his life. He was more frightened than he'd ever been in his life. More frightened than he'd been last year, waking up to find out what Sirius had done. Outside the Hog's Head he finally stopped for breath. The scent was very strong now. Light glowed through the dirty pub windows, and Remus could see that it was not busy inside, though there were customers. He pulled back the cloak, breathing in the chilly January air. There was movement behind him, a noise like a gasp of delight. "There you are! Who's a pretty boy, then?"
Oh, is it Greyback? Sounds like Greyback. Not gonna lie, a little let down. I was expecting,
I'm super let
Remus
down.
one.
I'm super let down right now.
I had a sweet moment with Christopher, though.
That was nice.
Right?
But
At least someone knows.
I'm not feeling this werewolf subplot. I think it's dumb.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Because
There, I said it. I don't like it.
I don't know. I think it's dumb just because,
That was the whole chapter. Yeah, that was it.
yeah. It's super cliffhanger. I don't like it just because nothing's going to come of it. I mean, maybe it'll be written in a way that, there'll be some tension.
Well, maybe Remus will get closure or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Or maybe something really stupid is going to happen, like he's going to get kidnapped.
It's possible. I don't think so, though.
It was a letdown, wasn't it?
Right, I wanted some awkward moments with Sirius.
I did like the bit with Christopher. I did like that he was Christopher.
It was like subtly.
Christopher is way braver than Remus.
Yeah.
He told him.
Yep.
He said. He put it out there.
I think it was Dan who said he was the Soul T Pro.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, those your types of authors?
Katie said he's as subtle as Hagrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lupin is an idiot for going by himself. I'm just
Yes.
like, ugh. I'm just not feeling that. Just throwing it out there. Not into it.
Not a smart move. I mean, it wouldn't have been a smart move to bring anyone else along either, but it's just... just don't go.
Right, at least when Harry went to the ministry, he didn't go by himself.
Yeah.
It was stupid, but at least he didn't go by himself.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
He wasn't searching for Draco by himself.
On the train.
Yeah.
That was Harry's... That was one of Harry's dumber decisions, for sure.
Exactly.
But Draco isn't a werewolf.
Well, he didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure Harry would know by now. Christopher is a sweet character. He is. He's just like this nice kid who Remus was kind of rude to a number of times.
Oh, he was extremely rude to him. And the funny thing is, like, Christopher, you can tell, like, he's known all along about Remus.
Yeah.
Almost like he just saw him. He's like, yep.
I bet Christopher is kind of like seeing how Remus is with Sirius, and he's just like,
I wonder if he's just gonna go up to Lupin like, so, you're not subtle, right?
Sirius is already jealous of Chris. Yeah, I mean, Sirius does pick on him.
Yeah. But Sirius kind of does that to everyone.
Yeah, but he only does it when it's other dudes. He doesn't care that Lupin hangs out with girls. He was being subtle with the book references, but it was obvious from year one he was into Lupin. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The first time that you meet Christopher, you can tell he's into Lupin.
Yeah.
And I think Christopher knows because Lupin probably sits there sometimes looking at Sirius, just like.
Yeah, probably. All those times where talking about like that serious black smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
We hear that and then the scene ends and we move on. But really he's just there for like 10 minutes just
Yeah, maybe Christopher saw that. I just the sweetness and the loveliness of this whole I also didn't really get. I mean, I got the whole discussion of homophobia thing, but them just being like, yeah, it's not okay to be gay. Got to keep it on the DL.
There have been a few times they put those like trigger warnings in the beginning and I'm just like
Oh, hello, Doda. Howdy, Doda.
It's like talk about drug use and then it's like serious with
smoking a spliff.
Yeah. Or he doesn't even, it's not even that. It's just like Sirius asked where they could get weed.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's
Yep.
like, okay. I get the, disclaimer, but still, like, okay.
Some people might be really offended by it.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess you're coming into this after reading Harry Potter, which is portrayed as a children's book, and then
Yeah.
this is a little bit more vulgar, a little bit more adult.
It is.
So there's that.
Lola, what are you doing?
Giving kisses.
I see that. Yeah, I don't know. I know, I forget about him too. The
Yeah.
trigger warning, because there just isn't anything in there. I mean, I get that you want to, if you use the word queer or whatever, you want to let people know and all that. Like, I get that, but to me, I'm just like, I'm not offended by any of this. I'm not triggered by any of this. You know what I'm triggered by? This stupid werewolf subplot. That's what I'm triggered by.
I'm holding out.
Mm.
It could be okay.
They're obviously luring him in there.
Yeah.
And then he went by himself. Like a moron.
But I mean, they're building up the emotion that Lupin needs to figure out, like, why he did it and all that. So I feel like they could write it well to the point where it can work. I'm just holding out my thoughts on it until we see it come to fruition. See what happens in the next chapter.
I'm gonna just maintain my opinion that I don't like it, and if it turns out good, then I will like it.
Okay.
I don't like it right now, but maybe it'll get better.
That's what I'm saying. It's true, he did promise Sirius he wouldn't go. It's gonna be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Sirius gonna have enough to break up with Lupin. And then Lupin goes to Chris. Chris will be that shoulder to cry on for Lupin.
Maybe he'll find Grant after he graduates from Hogwarts.
Maybe. Him and Grant live a long, happy life, and then Grant passes away from mysterious circumstances, and down on his luck, Dumbledore comes to find him and is like, we need you to teach. No, Dumbledore, I gave up that life.
Yeah, right, Katie? Like this werewolf thing, like all of the werewolf parts of the plot, I've just not really been into throughout the entire story, and I don't know why. I'm just not into them. I'm just like, the werewolf thing.
I was into it up until the point where, like, the Marauders find out. You know, his secretive...
Yeah, like this whole grayback thing. Like, I get the grayback thing.
And the grayback thing, but you know the grayback thing has to come up somewhere.
Right,
It's a big part of his story.
It is.
And Harry Potter.
And he has to get closure with it or whatever he has to do, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that interested in it. I don't know. I'm with you, Katie. I'm more curious to find out about Grant than I am about the resolution of the werewolf plot. Yeah, I don't want Grant to die either, but we've talked about this, and it's like, what's going to happen to Grant?
I don't want him to die either. I was just kind of playing off the cliche plot of, old war hero in the cabin. General comes. We need you for one more war. No. Put that life behind me. I'm not going to go back. 5 seconds later, scene fades to black. Said person who said he wasn't going to go back is back.
Well, I think Katie and I are on the same page that it's 1977. Give it a couple of years, like Grant to like get AIDS or something and die.
Right, it did. It was. I don't know.
The whole smelling them thing and everything else. Like Remus, if you could smell it wouldn't it make sense that it could smell you and that they might be trying to trick you? You idiot. I'm sorry.
100%. I think the wolf plotline works. I think if I were the one to write it, I think I would have wrote it in a way where the she-wolf like finds him out there when he's in, werewolf form, and they try to take him or something, but Prongs, Padfoot, and Wormtail are there, and they weren't expecting them, and then they like fight them off and bring Lupin back or something, I think that would have made more sense than Lupin to go and do this stupid thing. Not tell anyone and just go.
He even heard James trying to get away. It's kind of a how much do kids pay attention to the news thing. We pay attention to the news. I think Harry Potter demonstrates that kids definitely pay attention to the news.
I didn't pay attention to the news when I was their age, though.
I did.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I pay more attention now, but no. When I was that age, I didn't care.
I was always invested in it. I don't know. I'm trying not to sound like I'm whining, but I'm just like, I just don't really care about the resolution of the wolf subplot. Remus is being an idiot. Like, he just needs to learn to love himself. That's it.
But this plot is to teach him that, or he'll get that closure.
I know.
So that he can love himself.
I just wish it was more interesting, that's all.
I mean, it just kind of started.
Or more compelling.
Yeah, but it just started. Like, next chapter is where...
Oh my god, no. It's been ongoing for, 7 years with this whole grayback thing.
Well, yeah, little hints there and everything, but...
Yeah. Remember fourth year?
It's legit concern.
Fourth year. Half of the fourth year chapters were all about, I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna kill him, and I'm gonna... And we had to read all about that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's all...
It's been there the whole time.
I think it's all a legitimate plotline, though. It would be something that...
I get that it has to be there. I'm just saying. I'm just underwhelmed by it.
But on that note, it is about that time.
It is about that time, so we'll give you a preview. The next chapter is called...
Beware the Werewolf.
Ew.
Be werewolf.
Not even anything that good. It's... Oh my god, it's such an emo name for a chapter. The Long Night.
Okay.
And I just got a little preview, and the description, I don't even know if I should go there. Well, because you know who's waiting for him, right?
Well, yeah. It's gonna be great. So the Long Night.
Yep, that's the next chapter. The Long Night. Sounds like a Batman novel.
I was gonna say it's not gonna be Greyback. It's gonna be Batman.
Are we having an issue?
I don't know because it says.
Oh, buffering.
Well, either way.
Either way, it was about time for us to end anyway. So, thank you everyone for joining us. We will see if this werewolf plot gets any better next time. And hopefully the love story stays pretty strong.
I think it is.
And let's see what else is going to happen with Christopher, because that was actually really good.
Yes. He's basically the exact opposite of Sirius. Completely accepts who he is.
Yes.
Braver than Sirius, braver than Lupin.
Braver than everyone.
Go Christopher.
Let's hope that he doesn't do a Colin Creevy.
So until Thursday, take care, everyone.